Good morning again, everybody. Welcome to City Hall, welcome to Council Chambers, and welcome to a meeting of the Los Angeles City Council for today, Friday, April 30th, 2004. The City Council meets every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday at 10 a.m. Meetings are open to the public, and we do invite you to join us. For members of the public unable to attend council meetings, we can be viewed live on your cable station, Channel 35. We can also be viewed live via webcast from the city's homepage or heard via council phone. It is 10:20 a.m. and we have 9 members present at this time, one shy of a quorum. But this being Friday, as is customary, we do have a series of special presentations and recognition ceremonies. I'd like to begin today's meeting by recognizing Councilmember Zine.
Thank you, Mr. President. And joining me, representatives from the fine community of Canoga Park, including representatives from the Community Redevelopment Association, the Business Improvement District. Come on, we're not going to hurt you. Come on close. Come on close. We're here to recognize, and we have obviously strong support from this good community of Canoga Park. Good morning. All right, here we go. First, we'll recognize Mary Patterson. Now, the first original Mary, stand forward. There you go, Mary. We have a certificate of recognition presented to you today for special issues and special concerns and special reasons. Mary grew up in the San Fernando Valley and has worked Canoga Park for over 23 years in the areas of human resources, marketing, promotion, and community development. For over 20 years, Mary has been part of the management team of Follow Your Heart, a landmark natural food restaurant where I had breakfast not too long ago. And will the chef please step forward? The chef. For the last 15 years, Mary has served as Director of Human Resources, where she played a major role in building the team and helping to define the people-centered culture of this rapidly growing business. Having lived and worked in Canoga Park most of her life, Mary began to notice the gradual decline of what was once a vital and enterprising area of the San Fernando Valley. In February of 2002, Mary accepted the position of Executive Director of Canoga Park Improvement Association. In her capacity as Executive Director of Canoga Park's Business Improvement District, Mary has worked with the Board of Directors, fellow staff members, and volunteers to build meaningful and effective relationships between business, property owners, government, law enforcement, and local community organizations. This coordinated effort has made a dramatic positive impact on the look and feel of Canoga Park. Crime and litter have declined markedly while local businesses have grown, and graffiti is all but gone from the area. Canoga Park Improvement Association represents an effort by local property owners to pool their resources in such a way that together they can create the improvements needed to revitalize and promote the area. In addition to this primary funding, Mary has been instrumental through her advocacy efforts in downtown Canoga Park, receiving hundreds of thousands of dollars in grants and much needed services. Working with the Canoga Park Business Improvement District has confirmed Mary's conviction that people working together towards a common goal can make a real difference. Being of service has always been the central motive in Mary's career and in her life and her relationships in the greater community. And while she is not a full-fledged Councilman Zine's 3rd District Posse team, she is an aspiring member and joined us on a recent undercover operation to apprehend graffiti vandals who obviously, through the fear of the posse, did not tag the neighborhood. So we welcome Mary to the City Council. We acknowledge for all the wonderful work you have done and continue to do. And people who go visit Canoga Park, Main Street between Topanga and DeSoto will find a revitalized area, businesses thriving, palm trees blooming, clean sidewalks, clean curbs, and a whole new environment up there which is what we want for that community. I'm very proud to work with Mary and the wonderful group. And also we have some representatives who are going to come up and have a few words on behalf of Mary, and you're going to get to speak too, for all the wonderful accomplishments and accolades. I know your mom and dad are here, correct? And other people are here? And we're going to have another presentation, but you know what, let me do this. Let me do the second one, and then we'll have people come up and acknowledge both of you, because you work together. You and Thomas have both been a partner in this endeavor to revitalize this area of Canoga Park, which is in the heart of my district, the 3rd Council District in the San Fernando Valley. So, Thomas, it's your time to come forward, because we're going to do a double presentation here. Wow. Good morning to you. You didn't know about this, huh? No, I didn't. Well, you know what? I'm glad we brought you up second, so you are surprised then. Yeah. This is a certificate of appreciation for you. Now, let me tell you about Thomas R. Tafoya. Thomas Sr. was born in Mexico, where he grew up with his many brothers and sisters and his grandparents. His grandfather, on the paternal side, was 100% Lascaro Apache and shared with him some of this all but lost culture. Before moving to California with his wife and children, Thomas wanted to serve his country and thus served 2 terms in the United States military and position stationed in Vietnam. His work with the Canoga Park Improvement Association has shown his great dedication to community as a whole and the individuals he leads, and he's been doing that for 4 years. Working with a team of 5 to 25 court-appointed community service volunteers 5 days a week, he has shown them that it is possible to create something good in one's life. By the end of their time, they often offer Thomas their sincere gratitude for his guidance and say they have difficulty passing a piece of trash without picking it up. Thomas not only has a strong work ethic, but he does his work not for the money, but for the satisfaction of being of service, helping people and making a very visible and tangible difference in the look and feel of the neighborhood. When doing data collection on just the number of pieces of trash Thomas and his crew have picked up, to date it comes to 3,643,200. Though he would never admit it, the people that know Thomas always say he has a golden heart. There was an article recently in the Daily News by Dennis McCarthy about the individuals that you deal with, the court referrals, and how you've been able to successfully turn many of their lives around and been very successful in that. And without your efforts, Canoga Park would not be what it is, a very nice, clean business environment where people can go to follow your heart and have a wonderful, healthy, no-carb, high-protein breakfast, lunch, or dinner, and be able to enjoy what we refer to as Old Town Canoga Park, Main Street Canoga Park Business Improvement District, and all the wonderful work you've done. And I know that you're an aspiring Council District 3 posse member, and you were with us on that raid that we had in that area just recently. So we welcome you, we congratulate you, keep up the good work, because oftentimes when your crews are out there cleaning and maintaining the area, you wonder if anyone really cares. Well, obviously we care, the business community cares, the City of Los Angeles cares. So Thomas, congratulations, and thank you for the wonderful work you have done in that area. And I want to call forward Leslie Lampert, who's the director of the Community CRA, Community Redevelopment in the Canoga Park Receipt area. Leslie Lampert.
Yeah, on behalf of the CRA and my staff in the West Valley, I would like to thank Thomas and Mary and all the people who work with them. I think what's going on in Canoga Park, and has been for many years, is that an incredible model of public-private partnership. I couldn't do my job as effectively as I do, and my staff couldn't either, without Mary, Thomas, and all the others who work with us in Canoga Park. So I want to thank you both. We love you dearly. You've become friends, and we really are a family. And it's great to be here and see this happen for you. Thanks.
Thank you, Leslie. You want to introduce the other folks that we have here? You want to introduce the other folks that we have here, please? Come on. All right, yeah. And I want one correction. Thomas, you were born in New Mexico, okay? Because I looked at it in Mexico, it's New Mexico. I want to make a correction on that. Thank you.
Let's see. My name is Paul Lewin, and we didn't bring our chef here today, actually, but I'm the owner of Follow Your Heart. And we've been in business for about 30 years now in downtown Canoga Park. And it was, I guess, 5 years ago, almost next month, that I sat here in these chambers and the City Council approved the charter for the Canoga Park Improvement Association, of which I became the treasurer and have served as treasurer for the last 5 years. It really wasn't until, and of course, as Councilman Zine well ably told about the history of Mary and working at Follow Your Heart and things, but it wasn't until maybe 3 or 4 years ago when we got Mary into the Canoga Park Improvement Association that really things started to pick up and everything started to gel. And the fact of the matter is she has become the glue between the councilman's office, between the CRA and all the good work they're doing, and many of the other organizations that are happening in Canoga Park. And the need for the Canoga Park Improvement Association really came about after the earthquake of '04, where the Northridge earthquake really devastated our downtown. And it really fell into a state of affairs. And through all of these city organizations and the good work of the Canoga Park Improvement Association, which has some very good people working on it. And even after the earthquake, it was Thomas who has ended up cleaning up the place for us and stuff with his dedicated crew. So we want to thank you all for the opportunity to have the Canoga Park Improvement Association, and of course the council, and of course your honoring two very good people here this morning. Yeah, certainly, for a quick introduction. This is Brooke Ide. She's worked at Follow Your Heart for 20 years also. I think Mary and Brooke came to work at Follow Your Heart within a month of each other, actually, and she's a high manager. You know Vicki, of course, here, who works with the CRA, and Leslie. This is Rosemary Salazar, who is our office manager and actually started out on a crew with Thomas and found Follow Your Heart through Thomas, working with Thomas, and then we found how valuable she was and we brought her on. And then Mary's mother, of course, and her father is around taking pictures over here. So.
Okay, Mary, a couple words from you, and then Thomas.
I'll just be very brief, but I just wanted to actually say that it's an honor to be here in council chambers. I watch you on Channel 35, and it's always a great process, so I appreciate that. And I'm just really fortunate to work with such a great board of directors who volunteer all their time. And working with Thomas is incredible because he is so dedicated and so hardworking. And you heard it all in his bio. He's really turned people's lives around through his dedication. So I really am pleased. We surprised Thomas to get him here because he wouldn't come if he thought he was coming to support me, but he wouldn't come if he knew it was for him too. So I really appreciate that. And I just very briefly, I want to thank everyone for being here also, but I also wanted to just take this opportunity to give Councilperson Zine a plaque from the Canoga Park Improvement Association for all of your support and dedication and hard work in the community of Canoga Park and supporting our organization as well. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Zine.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Thomas. I'm really stunned by this award. I never expected this, but there's so many people to thank because of the work that we do here in Canoga Park. It's so gratifying, and with the support of Mr. Zine and his council here, a lot of these things that we do, we couldn't do them with the partnership that we have, and I think that's what we have there, a partnership of quality of life. That's what we all want, and I'm truly honored by receiving this award, Mr. Zine. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Zine. Colleagues, before proceeding to the next presentation, let me ask the clerk to please call the roll.
Cardenas, Garcetti, Gruel, Hahn, Labange, Ludlow, Miskowski, Parks, Perry, Reyes, Smith, Villaraigosa, Weiss, Zine, Padilla, 12 members present and a quorum, Mr. President.
Thank you very much. The council is officially in session. Colleagues, let's also dispense with consent agenda items before returning to presentations. Mr. Clerk, first order of business, please.
Approval of the minutes.
Ms. Miskowski moves. Mr. Villaraigosa seconds.
Commendatory resolutions for approval.
Mr. Zine moves, and Ms. Gruel seconds.
On the regular agenda, items 1 through 6 are items notice for public hearing. Council should continue the hearing and ordinances to May 21st.
Colleagues, let me recognize that we do not have requests from members of the public to address the council on items 1 through 6. Public hearings are open and without objection continue to May 21st. Next item, please.
Items 7 through 14 are items for which public hearings have been held. On item 13, a motion is required inasmuch as there is a recommendation 1A and or B.
Okay, members, items 7 through 14 now before us. Public hearings have been held. A motion from the floor would be required to reopen the public hearings. Any specials? Ms. Miskowski.
Amendment.
Item 9, call special by Ms. Miskowski. Mr. Parks?
Item 13.
13, call special by Mr. Parks. Mr. Smith?
Item 14.
14 by Mr. Smith. Mr. Zine?
just had 9 and 13, so they've both been called. Thank you.
Okay, any other specials? Seeing none, let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
12 eyes.
Those are approved. Next items, please.
Items 15 through 38 are items for which public hearings have not been held. 10 votes are required for consideration.
And again, I do not have requests from members of the public to address the council on these items. Public hearings are open. Public hearings are closed. Item 19 is called special for discussion. Any other specials? By Ms. Hahn. If there's no other specials, let's open the roll on the balance of the items. Please close the roll and tabulate the vote.
12 eyes.
Those are approved. Next item, please.
On the continuation agenda, item 39 is an item for which public hearing has been held.
And I do not have requests from members of the public to address the council on this item. Mr. Parks?
Mr. Chair, we'd like to continue that to May 4th. We're still working out the financing on that issue.
Item 39.
Yes.
Colleagues, any objection to continuing this matter? Seeing none, item 39 is continued to May 4th. And Mr. Clerk, if that's the end of our agenda, let's return now to presentations. And let me turn this over to Ms. Mizikowski. And the mayor.
Thank you, Mr. President, and let me recognize for a very special presentation our Council President Alex Padilla, and we are joined today with a very special occasion, our Mayor, Mr. James Hahn.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Members of the council and members of the public, it's indeed our honor. The mayor and I are here together, and it's our honor to introduce to all of you, if you haven't seen him in action, if you weren't at Staples Center Saturday night, in case you weren't watching HBO pay-per-view on Saturday night, Dr. Vitaly Klitschko. I'll get to that in a second, but I started, colleagues, with Dr. Klitschko because Vitaly is the first boxing champion, heavyweight boxing champion, to have a PhD as part of his resume. He is a holder of a doctorate in sports science and philosophy. His accolades are many. They include having held the title of WBA Intercontinental Champion, Champion of Europe since November 2000, former WBO World Champion, and the former WBO Intercontinental Champion. Prior to becoming a professional, he amassed a record of 119 victories and 15 defeats as an amateur, including 80 wins by way of knockouts. He was the 1995 military champion and a 6-time kickboxing world champion. But what brings him today is a very important event for Mr. Klitschko, for K2 Productions, and for the city of Los Angeles, whereby just last Saturday, April 24th, at Staples Center, Vitaly Klitschko, standing at 6 feet 7 inches, weighing in at 245 pounds, defeated in 7 1/2 rounds and in front of a crowd of 17,320 in Los Angeles, California, won Corey Sanders for the WBC heavyweight title. Let's give him a round of applause. A native of the Ukraine, and where he currently resides with his family in Kiev, champion Vitaly Klitschko has made Staples Center his boxing home. And it's wonderful for the Klitschko brothers. I'll let him talk about the family in a minute. It's wonderful for Staples Center to have these types of events. And it's really wonderful for Los Angeles, because not only did people travel from around the country and around the world to be here for this great event and to witness the champion in the making, but really people were watching us from around the world on cable television and closed circuit as well. So with that, and I thank you for this gift. I hope not to have to use it around here very much. I want to ask the mayor of our great city to say a few words. Mayor Hahn.
Thank you, Council President Padilla. We're so proud that the heavyweight boxing title now belongs to Los Angeles through the efforts of Dr. Klitschko, who certainly has the prescription for what we need here in Los Angeles. He's tough, he can take a punch, and he can sure give a punch. Last year I got to see Vitaly Klitschko fight Lennox Lewis, and in that fight, no one had ever seen Lewis get hit that hard. And even though the fight was stopped as a TKO, the crowd really was with Vitaly Klitschko because they saw that he was the one who had the heart, he was the one who was winning that fight. After that fight, even though Mr. Lewis was declared the winner, he decided he never wanted to fight again. So I don't think, we were talking just a few minutes ago, and Vitaly told me that he is now in the retirement business. Anyone who fights him ends up retiring. So anyway, we're glad that he's a resident of Park La Brea. And who's the council member, by the way, of that district? So anyway, we're so pleased that you're down here with us today, and I want to present to you from the mayor's office. I know you got plenty of belts, but here's a bowl to keep a buckle in here.
All right. Mr. Ludlow?
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm really happy to be today here, and I'm really happy to bring most prestigious world title, WBC, to Los Angeles, to California, and I'm really happy to take so big support from all audience, from everybody here in Los Angeles, and I give my best to bring the sports more popular and to make the defense of my title much more time here in Los Angeles and take so big support. Thank you very much for your attention, and I hope is in the future I give my best to show much more interesting fight and bring so much more very good, positive, emotional for all audience. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Ludlow?
I am very proud to be ambassador from UNESCO in project Education for Children in Need. Today, my brother Vladimir, I'm so sorry I'm alone, but we are together. We not look just like twins. We in the same business. We same in boxing. My brother is gold medalist in Atlanta 1996, and we are really proud to be ambassador from UNESCO in project Education in Children in Need, and everywhere in the world support most important factor in the life, our children, because without children, we don't have the future. And the next project we fly right now together with my brother to Europe, to Romania. It's a very poor neighborhood to support our future. And I'm really happy to take everywhere support, and here in Los Angeles for this project, because everybody understands. Children is the future, and without children, we don't have that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And one other thing, because his brother is a fighter, I asked him, is it ever going to be like the Williams sisters where Venus and Serena end up playing each other sometime? And he said, my brother is 5 years younger than me, and he said, my mother has said that we can never fight each other. So they're not going to ever be like the Williams sisters. That's what we're not supposed to fight. I'll remember it if you will, Janice.
Mr. Ludlow?
Thank you, Madam President. Dr. Klitschko, it's great to have you here, and I just wanted to note that this is a very difficult time where we're getting ready to go into our budget deliberations. It can get kind of contentious in here. And I just wanted the colleagues to note that the champ was brought in by the council president, and I just wanted to say, Mayor Hahn, we love you, but boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, Mayor Hahn, let's get ready to rumble! We're going to get the budget. Thank you.
Mr. Labange.
I want to say congratulations, Jimmy Lennon. Give Jimmy Lennon a great hand for those who know the history of announcers in this city. Martin Ludlow, that was wonderful. Champ, it's great to see you again. Thank you for your support of the St. Petersburg Sister City Committee, and we're so happy that you won. And Mayor, as you mentioned, he lives in Park La Brea. When the champ is done boxing, he's going to own Park La Brea. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Lower the microphone a little bit. Just, we're very honored here in front of the City Council and Mayor Hahn to be here. It was really a tough fight to even get the fight here in Los Angeles. We had a great support from the fans and from Staples Center. So, you know, MGM in Las Vegas, they really wanted to have the fight up there, but Vitaly, with his promoter, they fought to bring it here to Los Angeles. So he was really... He was really appreciative of all the support from the fans of Los Angeles, and we're definitely looking forward to bringing his first title defense back to Los Angeles.
Great. Let's go to the back and take. Can you mind shaking hands with all of my colleagues? Yeah. Okay. We'll go right here, and we'll come around.
Presentation, let me recognize Councilmember Tom Labange.
Thank you, Madam President. And Katie Osterloh, give her a big hand. She's a champion in her own right because she headed up the Assistance League of Southern California for many years. Come on, Katie, come up here. Let's have a big round for Katie. Katie was president of the Assistant Leagues for 2 terms, which is a nonprofit organization established in 1919 that provides help to more than 95,000 children and their families, seniors and individuals who have very critical needs. And Katie is very special, and I wanted to recognize her for her work. And during her time, she developed very important programs, Mr. Garcetti, that we both see our seniors enjoy at the Hollywood Senior Multipurpose Center. And Eric, come on up here if you would, please. She also introduced karate class to Children's Club, which is very important discipline. As we just witnessed that great champion who walked through these chambers, the discipline of an athlete is so important. The discipline of karate is so important for children and their youth development. She was committed to the Assistance League for her service for these years, and I just wanted to bring her in to salute her as she concluded her term. But before I ask Katie to speak, I want the great councilman of the 13th District, Eric Garcetti, to say a few words.
Thank you, Tom. What a wonderful surprise. And Katie, you have done an extraordinary job as leader of the Assistance League, really advocating on behalf, I know, not only of programs citywide, but in the neighborhood around where the Assistance League is. You've been a wonderful voice. I know we've had quite a few headaches with a couple things in the neighborhood from the day laborers at Home Depot, but you've been a consistent voice for a more just city, a consistent voice for a city that cares, and you really have an amazing set of people skills to bring people in. I went to high school with your son, too, so it's nice to have you here as well. But it's just wonderful that you have made such a positive impact. And I know even though your term is up, you're certainly not going away. We count on you continuing to be, as Tom LaBonge would put it, an angel in the city of angels. So congratulations.
Welcome, Katie. Come on up, Katie. Good job.
Thank you very much, Council Member Tom LaBonge and Eric Garcetti. I want to clarify something. My son did go to school with Eric Garcetti, but my son is only 10 years old.
That's right.
I am just honored to receive this wonderful resolution from the honorable council members, and I'm so appreciative. On behalf of Assistance League of Southern California, we've served the community of Los Angeles for the past 85 years. We have grown tremendously since 1919 when we were founded. We have tried to improve every year, and excuse me, we now have become a national association. So we have 113, you knew that, chapters all across the country, including Hawaii. Again, we served almost 100,000 people, as Councilmember Tom LaBonge mentioned. We have several fundraisers during the year. Our largest one is our design house. And not only does it involve our members, all 950 of our membership at Assistance League of Southern California, but we can certainly use your help. Anyone who wants to volunteer and help docent during our design house, which runs for an entire month, you're welcome to do that. And again, I need to thank Tom LaBonge and Eric Garcetti for helping us make our design house successful, which is so important for our seniors and our infants as well.
Katie,
thank you very much.
Thank you. Very good. We're going to take some pictures in back in a moment. We'll take some pictures right there. Yeah, one more there. Come on, sit there, right there. Madam President, as we proceed very rapidly this morning, we want to salute someone very special to the community of Los Feliz, to the community of Hollywood, the community of Southern California. And I'd like to ask the fire chief to join us, and ask the Engine 35 and Captain Duffy to join us, and Al Palanque and Sam Salazar to escort the honoree and his lovely wife up here right now, please. Please welcome the owner of Palermo's, the greatest Italian restaurant in all of Los Angeles, Tony Vera. Madam President, as you see the gathering right here, people call 911 when there's an emergency. But in this part of the city, they call Palermo's for great pizza. And you can't beat it. And it's very good, and a great chicken Caesar salad. And Tony has done so much for the community above and beyond. And why he's being especially honored here this morning is during the time of the great Academy Awards show, our Los Angeles Police Department and Fire Department had a special setup at Hollywood High School for an event of any need of emergency. And instead of a box lunch, they got the greatest pizza, the greatest pasta,
Are
the
these
greatest
considered
salad that
boxes
anyone could have, all the courtesy of this man and his lovely wife. And I would like to
facilitating
call
it,
on you,
because
Tony, to say
meeting,
something in a moment,
managing,
but I'd like to
getting them
call
down
on
there
Chief
being
Amatri and
truckers
Captain
there,
Duffy. You want to say a
driving.
few words on behalf of the local guys, or Sam or Al? Please welcome our fire chief for some remarks about the great Palermo's.
Thank you. Thank you. As Councilman Labange mentioned, Palermo's has been supportive not just at special events, but on an ongoing basis. It's a favorite spot for all law enforcement, fire service, because of his courtesy and consideration he extends, but also because of his relationship and contribution to the community. So it's a pleasure for us to stand with him and honor him today as he's being recognized by the council for the specific contribution he made during the Academy Awards, but that he makes on an ongoing basis. So the fire department joins in congratulating you also, Mr. Palermo.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Zine?
Well, wait, before Mr. Zine speaks, we have to have the representative of the chief of police, the senior lead officer for the area, Al Palanki.
Yeah, I'd like to really say thank you from the whole department to Tony. A lot of the fellows have eaten there over the years. Really appreciate his kindness. Tony's also been there to help support a lot of different community events throughout Los Feliz, and also events that were sponsored by our police department. We enjoy working with him and have really appreciated it. And his wife, who stands right behind him.
You got it. Thank you so much. Mr. Zine.
Now, Mr. Zine?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Tony, I've been to your place many times, in uniform and out of uniform, and it's a great gathering spot for people to enjoy the delicious food. I know DOT is in there, the fire department's in there, police department's in there. The working people of that area visit and enjoy the wonderful, delicious food. And I got to tell you, all the people I see recognized, seldom do I see the fire department and police department come universal to say, this is a great place. So free advertising. If you want a good meal, go to Palermo's, because it's a wonderful, delicious experience. And congratulations on receiving this recognition. And keep up the good work, because you are a real sanctuary for police and fire and public safety personnel. They know they can relax in there, enjoy the meal without having problems and concerns about people causing them problems at that establishment. So keep up the good work. We all appreciate it, from the City Council and all from our public safety personnel. Congratulations to you and your lovely wife. Thank you.
Thank you, Dennis. Please welcome Tony and Antoinette of Palermo's, please.
Well, I'd like to thank everybody, the City Council, Tom Labange, Fire Department, the Police Department. They do a great work, and I think they do it every time they put the uniform. They're very, very welcome to the neighborhood, especially my place. But I know I will not do the work because it's very dangerous every time they put the uniform on. And I really appreciate both the fire department, police department, and every department who enforces our law in this city. So again, Tom, thank you for presenting this award to me, and all members of the City Council. I appreciate it. Thank you. And also like to do a special thank you to Avak, who's really makes a lot of difference when it comes in the place.
All right.
Thank you again.
We're going to take pictures
And thank
right
you,
here.
Mr. Labange.
We'll take some pictures in there.
Let me now recognize Councilmember Hahn.
Hey, Chief.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. President, you're up there too. Colleagues, I'm very pleased to stand up here this morning to honor one of the brave men that served our country in Iraq, Captain Melvin Holland, Jr. Is the stepson of Armin Ross, who of course is the Director of Homeless Services for the mayor, and he's also a resident of San Pedro. Let me tell you a little bit about this brave man. Captain Holland is an engineer in the U.S. Army Reserve assigned to the 315th Psychological Operations Company in Upland. When he's not serving as an officer, he's worked for 4 years as a stevedore superintendent at the Marine Terminal Corporation in San Pedro. He recently returned home after spending 11 months in downtown Baghdad, showing strong leadership as the commander of his unit in the Operation Iraqi Freedom. While in Iraq, his mission was to defend the Green Zone, which houses several high-value targets, such as the Coalition Provisional Authority Headquarters, the Al Rashid Hotel, and other key locations which drew significant media attention as well as hostile demonstrations. His secondary mission was to conduct face-to-face communication with the Iraqi people in order to persuade or change or influence the behavior of the local populace, resulting in a safe and secure environment for the Iraqi people and our coalition forces. While in Iraq, Captain Holland and his soldiers conducted over 100 loudspeaker broadcasts, disseminated over 1 million handbills, and posted over 20,000 posters and delivered over 700,000 newspapers in the area. And these actions helped to quell a number of violent outbursts, preventing multiple dangerous situations from getting out of control. These actions served to save both American and Iraqi lives. Captain Holland and his soldiers also played a critical role in the recruitment of the new Iraqi Army members and the new Iraqi police officers. Captain Holland has received various decorations, medals, and badges, including most recently the Bronze Star Medal, Bronze Star Medal. He has also received the Army Commendation Medal, the Army Achievement Medal, his second award, the Army Reserve Components Achievement Medal, the National Defense Service Medal, second award, just to name a few. We all owe Captain Holland and all our fellow men and women who are serving our country a huge thank you. Thank you for all that you do, and we are so grateful that you returned home safely to your friends and your family, and a special congratulations for receiving the Bronze Star. I know that your mother, your stepfather, and your fiancé and her mother, who are here with you today, are very, very proud of you, and we are too. This has given me a great honor to be able to honor you here in City Council, and I'd like to give you this resolution signed by all members of the City Council and the Mayor.
Let me recognize Mr. Zine. Mr. Zine.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to say from the people here who enjoy the freedoms and liberties and watch the news every day, that our hearts go out for the military personnel that are in the trenches, that are in the desert, that are sacrificing. And thank God you came back safe. You came back without suffering what some of the military personnel are suffering. So our hearts go out to you and your families. We appreciate it. The efforts on behalf of all the people of Los Angeles and all the people of America. This is not politics. This is about the sacrifice of the military personnel and all the branches of the military service and what you folks have gone through to preserve the freedoms that we enjoy here in America. I just want to salute you, congratulate you, and a big welcome home, and to your family that I'm sure every day and every night worried and couldn't sleep because another news report coming in, another televised report coming in from the war that's taking place. And my generation, we really haven't seen a war, but we're seeing one now. And Vietnam was a war, and this is a war. But the sacrifice that you made and your military personnel make, and my hat goes off to you and to your family for standing behind you, supporting you, and we all support. And the American people are behind the people who are in those uniforms protecting our liberties and freedoms. God bless you, and welcome home to the land of America. Thank you.
Captain Holland, would you like to say a few words?
Wow. First of all, I want to say thank you to the City Council for the recognition. Secondly, I got to say this is what it's all about. You mentioned that every day I would speak to Iraqi citizens and try to tell them about how great freedom and democracy is. And when you step into this chambers, and when I came back home and you see that flag, you know that this is the best country in the world, this is the best city in the world. And I love serving my country, and I love serving the United States. Thanks.
Wow, thank you. Thank you. We're going to go in the back and take a picture, but I've got to do one more presentation, so I'll meet you back there. We're going to go in the back, but I have one more presentation. All right, let's have the other champs who are in the audience right now from Holy Trinity come forward. Play We Are the Champions. Oh, we don't have that. Come on in. Get as close as you can. My next presentation is honoring some other champions who are here today. And I am so pleased, as you know, I love these bragging rights, to announce that once again, one of the schools in my districts has been honored as champions. And they have done it twofold. I'm pleased today to honor the girls basketball team and the varsity football team of Holy Trinity School. Give yourselves a hand. Holy Trinity is located in San Pedro and is the home of some excellent athletes. First, let's recognize the girls basketball team. This basketball team went 44-2 this year. 44-2, including 6 single elimination playoff games to win the Catholic Youth Organization Championship. They were first place out of 170 schools. That is a great record. I want to ask the team captain, Katrina McCosker, to accept this resolution. Since their coach is out of town. And you recognize the last name, McCosker. She is related to the McCosker brothers. Now, Mike's your father, right? Mike is her father, and Tim is her doting, proud uncle. So, Katrina, on behalf of the City of Los Angeles, congratulations to Holy Trinity School upon winning the Catholic Youth Organization Championship. 44-2 for the season. Girls rule. Okay, why don't you say a few words?
On behalf of the Holy Trinity Athletics Program, we would like to thank City Hall for inviting us here. This year, our varsity football and girls basketball teams were fortunate enough to become CYO champions. But it wouldn't have been possible if it weren't for our great coaches, Chuck Trinati, Vince DeLiva, Vic Wagner, and all the assistant coaches. We admire them and really appreciate what they've done for us. We are all very proud of our school, and we are pleased to be here. Thank you again for having us.
Congratulations, girls. I'm going to take a picture with all of you in the back. But now, at the same time, we're going to honor the varsity football team. So, and this is why Katrina's going to stay up here. This varsity football team is actually a co-ed team, has 2 girls on the team. And guess what? Katrina was the captain of the football team. She's student body president, and she's also was the MVP of this football team. So that's why Katrina McCosker. Mike, do you think she's an overachiever, or? Okay, the football team won the Catholic Youth Organization Champion this year with a record of 31-4. So congratulations to the football team. This is the first time in 15 years that this school has won these championships. That's quite an achievement. Congratulations, Holy Trinity. Congratulations to your good work, your good effort. I know you all are good students, and I know you take all this very seriously. So, Katrina, would you like to say something on behalf of the football team?
Well, that was for both the teams, actually, but yeah, we did a pretty good job this year, and thanks for inviting us again.
Why don't you tell us how you do it all? How do you student body president, MVP, captain of the football team? We know you're the perfect, not the perfect daughter. Oh, okay. How do you do it all?
I don't know. Try my hardest.
Well, congratulations. We know you're going to go far. And congratulations again to Holy Trinity.
For our next presentation, let me recognize Councilmember Jack Weiss.
Thank you, Madam President. Colleagues, I'm here to do a presentation that is technically to recognize the fact that Arbor Day is here. It's the last Saturday in April. But really, when we recognize Arbor Day, what we're recognizing is the Street Trees Division of our city that does so much for each and every one of you, for each and every one of your districts, and which has developed such strong ties with each and every council office. I know my office has benefited tremendously from the work of Ron and of Mr. Gonzalez, and we really, really want to take this opportunity to thank you guys because the city of LA plants 10,000 trees every year. It's the only public works improvement that the city makes that gets better with time and gets more valuable with time. And I'm pleased that this year, in recognition of Arbor Day, you all are going to be planting trees at a park in my district at Cheviot Hills. But needless to say, this is something that you do on a daily basis on behalf of the entire city. And so on behalf of my colleagues and in recognition of Arbor Day, I want to present to George Gonzalez, our Chief Forester, and to Mr. Lorenzen here, who you all know very well, this certificate to let them know just how much we appreciate their efforts. Gentlemen, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Councilmember Gruhl.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to stand up as well with Councilmember Weiss to acknowledge the two gentlemen in the entire department who are out in the community frequently on Saturdays. I know I've been out there we were there, Ron, on Victory Boulevard, planting a median, and I know that you check to make sure the following week that everything's been taken care of, and trees are such an important part. I said recently that with my newborn son, the doctor after a month or two said you need to take your child outside and let him look at the trees and let him experience that in the air, and it's so critical for our young people and for those of us who are older people too, to have trees in our neighborhood. It can change a neighborhood, those trees. It can dramatically change a neighborhood. So we hope to do, as we've been talking about here before, an extreme makeover for the entire city to have as many trees as we can so we can have a better place to live. So thank you for what you do every single day of the year.
Thank you.
Mr. Garcetti.
Thank you, Madam President, and thank you, Jack, for the recognition. And Ron and George, I want to thank you both for the great work that you've done recently at the Gateway to Silver Lake project. It was a great community collaboration, planting the trees right there on Silver Lake Boulevard on both sides of the 101. Just wanted to thank you for that. I spent part of Earth Day with John Quigley, the guy who, parked out in an oak tree, he thought, for a couple days, but wound up being 2 months. And it's incredible to look at the impact. And he said, the more we can transform people's thinking and they realize that trees are about the health of the entire city and the entire population, he's following up that with a project to put council members and other people once a year, maybe around Arbor Day, in trees throughout the country where they can see these wonderful trees, and the good work that we're trying to do too to make sure that people realize the heritage trees that are around Los Angeles, that there are real penalties if people damage those trees. The native ones will be a big step forward, but you guys have always been wonderful and so responsive, and thank you for your community collaboration and bringing people into valuing the environment that exists right here in the heart of the city. Congratulations.
Mr. Labange.
Thank you to follow Eric, and thank Arbor Day, and thank all the tree trimmers. Thank Big Max out of the yard on San Fernando Road for all the work that you do, and the parkways, because it's all about a gateway to a neighborhood. When the city takes care of, with the collaboration with the community, the gateways, the neighborhoods like Larchmont, on Riverside Drive and Toluca Lake, it makes a difference, and I just wanted to thank you, and be safe out there, both above the ground and then working in the street. Thank you both very, very much.
Thank you.
Ron, George, it's your turn.
Well, I just want to thank you very much, and while me and Ron are standing up here getting all the thanks, actually the thanks go to our staff and to you for supporting us. We have the largest urban forest in the world, or in the nation, and possibly the world, and the reason we have that is a forethought that our predecessors had, and Arbor Day commemorates the time that we think about trees, because a lot of times the only time we think about trees is when they're causing us problems, when they're raising our sidewalks, when they need trimming. But every single day, every minute, every hour, trees are providing benefits for us. And we just hope to continue to, with our stewardship of our street trees, and continue to grow this urban forest. And again, thank you very much.
Thank you, Ron and George, and thank you, Mr. Weiss. Our next presentation will be Councilmember Reyes.
Thank you, Madam President. This is an extraordinary month that we'll be experiencing, and what I'd like to do is call up David Iwata, one of the co-chairs of the Asian Pacific Islander American Association. I believe Terry Agawa was supposed to be with us but couldn't make it. Did you, sir? Colleagues, today we have a resolution signed by all of you declaring Asian Pacific Islander American Heritage Month. It's a great honor and pleasure that I've invited many of the representatives of these great cultures that make up a good part of the American experience. And in my district in particular, I have the honor of representing Chinatown, portions of Filipino Town, Koreatown, and it just reflects the richness of the Southern California area. And so with that declaration, I'd like to present this resolution. Whereas in this goes back. Don't worry, folks, I won't read all of them. But the first one, and I'll go from the first to the last, but whereas people around the world marvel at the wealth of ancient art and philosophy, the fine craftsmanship, the exquisite music and dance, and the colorful literature and folklore that have roots in Asia and Pacific Islands. We go through a whole litany of legal efforts in Congress and the state throughout the country. We've been able to achieve a point where now, be it resolved that by the adoption of this resolution, the Los Angeles City Council, the City Attorney, City Controller, do hereby join with the Mayor in proclaiming the month of May 2004 as Asian Pacific Islander American Heritage Month in the City of Los Angeles, and further encourage the promotion and continued positive interaction among our residents of all cultural and ethnic backgrounds, signed by my colleagues, the Mayor, the City Clerk, City Attorney, and City Controller. Congratulations. Let's give this month and all our representatives a round of applause.
On behalf of the 1.3 million Asia Pacific Islanders living in the County of Los Angeles
as well as the 13,000 Asia Pacific Islander employees of the City of Los Angeles. We hope that you will be able to celebrate all the different activities within the City of Los Angeles during the Asia Pacific Islander Heritage Month.
Mr. Parks?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to say welcome to the City Council, and as a representative of the 8th District, we're just pleased to welcome you on the behalf of the fact that the original Koreatown started in the 8th District and is now in the 1st District, but around the USC campus, and there's several historical sites that represents very important issues with the Korean community. I just want to say congratulations to Margie Reese as she continues to bring the city more aware of the Black History Month, the Hispanic Heritage Month, now the Asian Pacific Islander American Heritage Month, and just say congratulations. This city has such a wealth of diversity, and that we should honor each and every culture and ensure that we realize it's the strength of this city as opposed to being concerned about the unknown. And so welcome, and certainly have a great month.
Thank you, Mr. Rogers.
Mr. Zine.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would like to acknowledge, and I was down at the event we had, South Steps of City Hall, acknowledge the wonderful representation and all of the members of the community that turned out this morning, and the princesses that were there from the Asian Pacific community, and the lovely event we had. And I also want to acknowledge David Owada, who does not like to be acknowledged at all, and he comes from the San Fernando Valley, and he's very involved in Asia Pacific and other enterprises in the San Fernando Valley, the City of Los Angeles. And I want to acknowledge all the wonderful work David has done for the people of Los Angeles, the people of San Fernando Valley. He's always there behind the scenes, and it's nice to see you, David, on camera, in front of the prince. Well, actually, your wife's going to get jealous having all those princesses behind you, but you do a great job. And Ed, thank you for bringing this forward. And I know it's a wonderful opportunity to show cultural diversity and the impact of cultural diversity, the Pacific Rim, and how wonderful it is to have this wonderful opportunity to acknowledge and to show respect. And to all the princesses, congratulations to you, to the Asian Pacific community, the Pacific Rim, and Mr. David Owada from the fine San Fernando Valley for all the work you do on behalf of the people of Los Angeles. David, congratulations to all of you. Thank you.
Mr. Villaraigosa. Mr. Villaraigosa?
Yes, I too want to thank Councilmember Reyes for acknowledging this very, very important celebration. You know, when you think about LA and what makes it great, it's great because of the communities that Ed Reyes represents. It's great because of the Koreans, the Filipinos, the Chinese, the Thais, all of the Asian Americans have made LA and America a better place. It's great because we come from Mexico and Latin America and Ireland and Italy and Africa and every part of the world. And so today we celebrate the contributions of the Asian Pacific American Heritage Month, and we honor all of you and thank you. And I know that Warren Furutani was here with us. Are you still here, Warren? Warren was my statewide API leader when I was Speaker of the Assembly. Many of you know him as a civil rights leader, now a member of the Community College Board of Trustees. And so thank you for coming today, and thank you, Council Member, for honoring this important American contribution. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Mr. Garcetti.
Thank you very much, Madam President. Thank you as well, Mr. Reyes, for doing this. And it is such an important recognition. When you look at the growth of the Asian American population, it's the fastest growing population in the state of California. When you look at the history of Los Angeles and you realize from 1781, from that founding moment in the city, that we've had Asian residents, two Filipino subjects of Spain that were called Chinos by the Spanish rulers that came here. But that history, which is tied in the Korean community, the Chinese community. I'm very proud to represent Thai Town and part of Koreatown, to have established historic Filipino Town. But I think it's important not only that we recognize, but that we also push forward in a policy agenda that serves all communities. I'm very proud that this year we finally have established, with strong support from Asian American advocates and the community, for the first Office of Immigrant Services here in the city of Los Angeles. It's a monumental step forward and a very important one that was long overdue here in Los Angeles. When we look too at some of the services that we provide, sometimes our senior services, our Workforce Investment Board services, we often overlook Asian populations, especially monolingual Asian populations. And I can think in Chinatown recently when Mr. Reyes and I fought to make sure that we could keep some of the Department of Aging programs that were there, because oftentimes if you just think that the languages will get covered, Spanish gets covered, but the other languages drop off. And to make sure that we continue to serve the Asian American and Asian immigrant population here in Los Angeles, we really have to redouble our efforts, not just to celebrate heritage, but to make sure that heritage has a living meaning in the policies that we pass here. So congratulations, and we won't just redouble them for this month, but throughout the year.
Thank you.
Mr. Ludlow.
Thank you, Madam President. Councilmember Reyes, thank you so much for all of your work on this effort, and it's a real honor. I wanted to say this is just a great calendar. Margie, you guys did a great job. This lays out a number of great activities and pieces of information that are really key for the community to be able to celebrate Asian Pacific Islander American Heritage Month. And so, job well done on this, and I know that Councilmember Reyes, Garcetti, Labange, and I are really proud to share pieces of the greater Koreatown community. And what we're also proud of is that Koreatown represents the largest Korean population in the world outside of mainland Korea. And that's something that not only should those of us be proud of, but the entire city of LA and the United States of America, given that there are many countries in the world where we could be celebrating that type of population. In a year where we're celebrating 100 years of immigration from Korea to the United States, this is a particularly powerful moment and a powerful month. But in my district, we also have one of the fastest growing and longest standing Japanese American communities anywhere in the country. I know Councilmember Villaraigosa mentioned Warren Furutani's name, who was here today in celebration. But the Crenshaw Corridor is a very famous corridor for the Asian Pacific American community, as it still is home to a very proud Japanese American community. Strong Chinese community, and Councilmember Garcetti said it very well. We all love Jay Valencia, the mayor of Filipino Town, and the rise of Thai Town. So this city has a lot of just great things to be proud of, and I think one of the things that we should be most proud of is the diversity of this great city. And I always mention, when you look at that flag, it's not one color, it's three colors, and that's what makes this country so great, is the diversity. And so as we move forward, let's not look at it just as a month, but a continual celebration throughout the year. So congratulations, and Councilman Reyes, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Mr. Labange.
I hope we didn't. Did we interrupt your, I know there's several people, are you going to introduce all the great people?
No, we have some great presentations.
Great
but I wanna make
presentations.
sure-
So I'm going to sit down right now, but I'm just going to introduce one, the Olympic champion, Dr. Sammy Lee from Franklin High School in Northern League. Dr. Lee, stand up. You were such a great Olympian, but also he's a great ambassador for Los Angeles when we had the Olympic Games 20 years ago. Wonderful to see all of you here. Wonderful to see cultural affairs doing what they should be, pushing culture for the people of Los Angeles. Thank you.
Okay.
Reyes?
Thank you, Tom. Yes, I just wanted to ask Mr. Iwata if you would like to present the honorees that are with us today and mention those who could not make it but have been instrumental in this great effort. Mr. Iwata.
Thank you. As I call your name, if you could come up. Our first honoree is Haley Lee. She's a literature author and national bestseller book called Still Life with Rice. She actually grew up in the San Fernando Valley, a graduate of El Camino High School. For those who are aware, El Camino High School won the National Decathlon, Academic Decathlon team, graduated in UCLA with a degree in political science.
I wanted to say this is such an honor to be recognized as a Korean American, as an Asian American author. Growing up in this country and growing up in LA, it was not diversified when I was growing up in the 70s and 80s. But we have so many stories to tell. Words are very powerful in this country. Asian Americans are woven into the fabric of this country very tightly, and we have so many stories to tell. And when we tell our stories, we are interwoven. And we decide what is history in this country as well as her story. So thank you very much.
Our next honoree for journalism is a gentleman of Yet Locke. Like Dennis Zine mentioned, he really works in the background. He's Executive Vice President of City News Service. I know that many of the press corps depends on their services covering the city. He founded the Asian American Journalists Association here in Los Angeles, helped mentoring our future journalists in our community. In addition, he's done a lot of work with Chinatown Service Center as well as Chinese Chamber of Commerce.
Thank you. I want to thank the City Council for supporting this very special month. It does work. It promotes understanding, it promotes harmony, and it promotes a better Los Angeles, and I hope that you'll continue to support it in the future. Thank you.
The next honoree could not make it today. He's Rob Fukuzaki. I think a lot of people knows him from Fuchs Follies. Rob Fukuzaki actually graduated from the same high school I attended in Hawaii, attended La Vera University here. On behalf of Rob, Henry Furman, who's the business editor from the LA Times, and Denise Poon, both members of the Asian American Journal Association.
Rob is sorry that he couldn't be here. Rob and I are colleagues in AAJA, the Asian American Journalists Association, a group that serves to promote and assist Asians in the field of journalism and the media. And he thanks you, the City Council, for this honor, apologizes he cannot be here in person, but hopes to make the May 26th community event. He wants you to know that it's a great honor to be recognized for the community work he enjoys so much, including raising funds for his charitable group, Heads Up Youth Foundation, of which Rob is the chairman. The goal of Heads Up Youth Foundation is to assist disadvantaged youths in the Southland through sports programs so they stay positive, out of trouble, and always hold their heads up high. Rob told me that not only does he enjoy working here in Southern California, where he has been at ABC 7 for the last 10 years, but he feels a great sense of pride representing the Asian community in all of his activities. He said, "It's a dream to be able to do what I do at ABC 7. I emphasize it takes a lot of support from all of you in the community and viewers to sustain this position I'm in. So not out of necessity, but out of appreciation that I'm always honored and happy to support you and the community as much as I can. Thank you very much."
Our next honoree is Dr. Linda Gordon. She's a co-founder of Ebius Biotechnologies and co-inventor of a treatment for pancreatic cancer. Unfortunately, she's unavailable, but Dr. Hall, her partner, is here to accept her recognition.
Thank you. On behalf of Dr. Gordon, it's a real pleasure for me to accept this honor, which she so richly deserves. Many years ago, when she was treating children at Children's Hospital Los Angeles for a wide variety of cancers, she realized that we needed a gentler, kinder, more effective medicine without the ravages of chemotherapy. And she embarked on a mission to inspire, with drive and determination, which led through the science, through the development aspects, the pharmacology, that brought her to the FDA, that brought her to the Philippine Bureau of Food and Drug, to bring forth a new medicine, a new and radically different kind of medicine that can circulate in the system, can find the tumor, and deliver therapeutic genes. This drive and determination from this physician scientist has not only brought the first targeted injectable genetic medicine in Los Angeles, but in the world. She couldn't be here today because she's doing what she loves and does best. She's treating cancer patients with this new medicine. And again, I'm honored for this acknowledgement of her life's dream and her work.
Our next honoree, as Councilman Labange mentioned, is Dr. Sammy Lee. He's the first Asian American to win Olympic gold medals in both the 1948 and 1952 Olympics. He studied pre-med at Occidental College, received his doctorate at USC Medical School. So please welcome Dr. Lee.
I want to thank you for this honor. It was some 70 years ago when I got my Olympic dream, and fortunately through the Los Angeles Recreation Department, your pools were not restricted. The pools in Pasadena were restricted because we were allowed to go in 1 day a week, and after that 1 day a week they emptied the pool so that you honkies wouldn't get stained by the color of our skin. But I want to thank the City of Los Angeles and also putting on the greatest Olympics of all time, the 1984 Olympics, and also in 1932, the City of Los Angeles was the first one to start an Olympic village. Now, I was in Greece in February of this year, and are the Greeks ready for the Olympics? The Beijing Olympic Organizing Committee was there, and they said all of our facilities will be finished by 2006. And the Greeks are so will ours. Thank you.
Let's see. I don't know if Henry Olta is still here, but George Aratani is our other honoree. George Aratani is co-founder of Mikasa Crystal in Kenwood, a household name in the United States. He spent his young adulthood in an intern camp during World War II. He's done contribution to the Japanese American National Museum, the East-West Players, and recently to UCLA. The Honorable Judge Lance Ito also could not make it today, and Lou Diamond Phillips, I believe you know him from the movie Courage Under Fire, La Bamba, and finally Dr. Gene Sekiguchi. He's the first Asian American elected to the president of the American Dental Association. He actually started his career in engineering with a degree at UCLA and UC Berkeley, finally getting his Doctor of Dental Surgery at USC. Our last honor for art and culture is to the Japanese factory workers in 1957 who created Dream Pets. And the Dream Pets are in your little suitcases on your desk. These Dream Pets were actually velveteen stuffed sawdust that cradled train sets across the Pacific Ocean. And when the people in San Francisco first received the shipment, they opened the crates and found these crating material called the Japanese factory, and the Japanese factory workers called them their Dream Pets. This art form revolutionized the plush toy industry and laid the groundwork for cultural phenomena, for example, Pokemon. But I hope that these Dream Pets will cradle our city council members and the constituents' dreams. Lastly, I would like to invite Margie to introduce the entertainment.
Thank you, council members. I would also like to invite your special attention to several events in the calendar. We kick off the celebration of this month with our festival of celebrating Asian Pacific Islander Heritage Month, and it's my pleasure to introduce one of the organizations from Ms. Misikowski's district, the Hawaii Hula School from West Los Angeles.
As they're getting ready, I just want to take a moment to recognize the hard work from my staff, who are the real heroes, I believe, that work very hard day to day. Ruby Tavera, Sharon Lowe, Jericho Batan, Susan Wong, and tell me I'm leaving anybody out. But I want to thank them and take this moment in this great celebration. Thank you so much. Please.
e upena kuikana e potahi
Madam President, last but not least, we also have with us, and I'd like to recognize our Koreatown Queens, our Chinatown Court, Nisei Week Princesses. They were up here before. Just want to thank them for being here, and thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Reyes. For our next presentation, let me call on our Council President, Alex Padilla.
Thank you, Madam Chair and colleagues. Appreciate the opportunity for this second very special presentation today in honor of Arthur Ferrugia, who's actually a constituent of the 3rd Council District, and Councilmember Zine is joining me, but I think he must have been an inspiration to Councilmember Zine, because when I first got to know him, and I think when most of you got to know him, he was a director with the Police Protective League, and what did he always do? Take pictures. Always taking pictures. And Arthur has been the official crime scene photographer for the LAPD since 1979 and is recently retired. So let's give him a round of applause for all those years of service. And I know we're joined by both Michelle Kessler and Ocean Nubarian, who were his colleagues while he's been with the police department. But I wanted to begin with a quote by portrait photographer David Bailey, who once said, "It takes a lot of imagination to be a good photographer. You need less imagination to be a painter, because as a painter, you can invent things. But in photography, everything is so ordinary, and it takes a lot of looking before you can look and see the extraordinary." So in all those years of service, I think that's exactly what Arthur has done. He has studied and studied crime scene after crime scene, nearly 7,000 crime scene assignments and aerial assignments under his belt, including many assignments to serve as an expert witness in courts of all levels of our judiciary system. Most importantly, it's through his work that we've been able to keep our city safe through the 1984 Olympics, through the Democratic National Convention, in the wake of the North Hollywood shootout, and so many other major events in the city of Los Angeles. A native of New York City, he also has a term of military duty in his public service, having done stints in Korea and in Panama in the 1950s. It's my pleasure to present this resolution in celebration of his retirement, but in honor of his contributions and service to the city and the people of Los Angeles, to Arthur Ferrugia. Congratulations, Arthur. And let me ask Councilmember Zine to say a few words.
Thank you, Councilmember Padilla. The privilege of working in the police department for as many years as I did, currently 35 years with the LAPD, and I've seen Arthur on many crime scenes, and there's a production TV show that is #1 in the world, CSI, and if you look at Arthur's photo file, he'd be a great technical advisor to that popular CSI series. He's been a supporter of law enforcement, and he hasn't forgotten New York because he's wearing a lapel pin from the New York Police Department, and he's wearing the famous tie that represents and reflects law enforcement. Without the support functions of the police department, they really can't get the mission accomplished. They need to have the civilian support function. And interestingly enough, when I was going to school, I always wanted to be a police photographer. I really thought that would be exciting to be a police photographer. And you have accomplished that. And you did extremely well in that. And I remember many crime scenes over the years where I've seen you taking those photos, 3 o'clock in the morning, the homicide scenes, and the other situations that take place in a major city as we have with over 4 million people, the dedication that you have devoted to the members of the city, the residents of the city, and the support you've given to the detectives and the uniformed personnel. It's truly reflective of your dedication to public service. And I also want to comment that Ron Butcher, our City Hall photographer who's taking photos right now, was the one who said, you know what, we need to honor Arthur in City Council. Councilmember Padilla, Council President Padilla had done the presentation, the certificate was already done, but we want to give you due recognition and due respect for your service to the community, the service to the country and the military service, and all the wonderful things you've done for the people of Los Angeles. I know you've got some colleagues behind you that carry on that responsibility, but without the support, the civilian functions, the police department can't function in a manner that needs to function. And photography is critical, and you started out with dry film, or wet film as they call it. Now everything's digital, and as we advance in technology, that changes, but your dedication to people cannot go unnoticed. So congratulations. Enjoy the 3rd District. Stay healthy in the 3rd District, and don't forget, because we honored earlier Canoga Park, Main Street, stop at Follow Your Heart Restaurant, and I'm sure they'll acknowledge you too. Arthur, congratulations from everyone in the city of Los Angeles. Congratulations for a job well done. Many happy years into your retirement. The microphone is yours.
Well, I'm not much of a speaker.
Photographer, though.
I will say that the 26 years that I would put with the department, I'm sorry.
It's a happy day. It's a happy day.
Retirement is a little difficult. I've had a lot of time here. I've had a lot of enjoyment in what I did. And as Dennis said, many times when I helped the officers make their cases, of course, there were many times when Dennis got in the way. I don't know if he remembers that. But there were many times when I had to ask him to move. And of course, being sworn, and I'm a civilian, he didn't take to that too well. But we had a lot of good times. I guess a little emotional, but I want to thank you all for this honor.
Arthur, thank you very, very much. And I'll just respond by that and say the only reason I got in the way, there was a television news camera around. That's what got me in the process. Thank you again. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Padilla and Councilmember Zine. If Mr. Parks is ready, we will recognize Mr. Parks for some presentations.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to ask the Los Angeles chapter of Links under the leadership of Debbie Beavers to come up. The Los Angeles chapter of Links is a program that was established in 1950, the first chapter in the Reston area. It was started by 17 pioneer black women in this area, two of which of those founding members are still part of the current 41. The Links program has been instrumental in molding and leading the lives of numerous young people for more than 50 years. It provides opportunities for women to grow and develop mature friendships and successful relationships. The members must understand the importance of community service, and they contribute more than 5,000 hours of community service each year. They have a threefold purpose. They established their responsibilities, they enrich personal friendships, and they encourage cultural appreciation through the arts. The Links program has also organized a cotillion evening gala each year, producing more than $1 million in revenue that is donated to service of self-help programs throughout the nation. They donate to such special programs as sickle cell, the youth campership, battered women's shelters, AIDS research, tutorial programs, and the NAACP and Urban League. They ensure that young women participate and perform at the best of their ability. Currently, the Links Incorporated has grown to 274 chapters through all 50 states. We are honoring them today because of not only what they've done in the city of Los Angeles, but the fact that we're also honoring them because of National Women's Month in the city of LA. I have a personal relationship in the fact that 40 years ago, both my sisters came through this organization as a member of the LA chapter and as also the cotillion. Let me provide a certificate on behalf of the City Council and the Mayor and say to Debbie, thank you very much for coming down, and certainly would like you to introduce your members and make some comments.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Councilman Parks, members of the City Council.
It's an honor to be here today, and it seems funny sitting on this side of the mic as a retiree of the City of Los Angeles rather than an employee reporting into you. This feels pretty good. I'd like to introduce some of the members who are with me today. Jackie Ryan, who is a former president. Vera Brown Curtis, a former president. Trudy Williams, a former president. Our new incoming president, Pamela Washington, and Kimberly Beavers Noble, my sister, who is our current vice president. Our chapter is pleased to have an opportunity to contribute to the quality of life in Los Angeles through our grants and aid to private nonprofit community-based organizations. And we've done so for 54 years, and we look forward to continuing. Thank you very much.
Is Tom LaBonge here?
¿Se encuentra Tom LaBonge?
Let me go to the second one. Let me ask Charlie Parsons to come up, and we'll wait
Charlie
for Mr.
Parsons, pase,
LaBonge
por
on our
favor.
second one.
Esperemos al señor LaBonge que llegue.
Charlie Parsons, many of you may
Charlie
remember, is a
Parsons.
retired
Muchos
FBI
es un,
assistant director from the Los Angeles
subdirector
area,
del FBI
and now he has a
jubilado
new
en el
task
área de
as
Los
the
Ángeles. Tiene un nuevo
executive
trabajo
director
como
of DARE
director
America.
ejecutivo
And I have him
DARE
here today
America. Él
because
está aquí
it's a
con
little
nosotros
belated,
porque
but every year in the
un
first
poco
week of
tarde.
April, the
Cada
president
año, primera
declares
semana de abril, el presidente
DARE
declara
Day nationally.
el día de DARE
And
nacionalmente. Y
you're here because DARE has been recognized
está aquí porque
universally
DARE ha sido
as
reconocido universalmente
one of the best
como uno
substance
de los
abuse prevention and violence prevention programs in the United
programas
States.
en contra de
It
la-
also is
de la
implemented in
violencia
over
para la
75% of the
prevención
nation's
de
school
alcoholismo
districts, 54
y
countries around the
de
world,
violencia
and has
doméstica.
touched
Está en
36
15
million young
países en el
people
mundo
in
y
our
ha
country. DARE has
incluido más de 100
been
millones de personas en
places
nuestro
specially
país.
trained officers in the
Él ha
classroom
entrenado
to
oficiales
provide
en las aulas
training
para
that
proveer
deals with resisting
entrenamiento
peer
que tratan
pressure as it
con
relates to
la
drugs
resistencia
and
de
violence
presión en
in their
contra
lives.
de los jóvenes.
DARE not
Es
only
prevenir
tells students to
violencia
say no, but
en
also
sus
provides
vidas.
them the
Solamente les
ability
enseñan a los
to
jóvenes
say
a
no
decir no,
through
pero también
the
proveen
DARE
la habilidad
program. The
para
targeted
decir no a través del
students
programa
are
DARE.
first exposed to the
Los estudiantes de
anti-violence
DARE
and
primero
to the most vulnerable part of their community. To give you an
pasan por
outline
la
of their
experiencia
program,
de
it's
la
divided
violencia
into 5
secundaria. Ese
primary
programa está dividido
components:
entre 5
K through
diferentes
4th grade
componentes.
visitation,
Kinder hasta el
elementary
cuarto,
school curriculum, a 10-lesson
Las
program
académicas
directed at
de
5th and
primaria
6th
son
grade
lección
level
de 10
students,
términos
middle school curriculum,
para
and
los
10-lesson program
estudiantes
directed at the 7th and 8th
secundarios y
grade,
también
and then
otro
the
diferente
high
plan
school
académico
curriculum,
para
a
la secundaria y la
7-lesson
preparatoria.
program
Programa
also
de 7
directed
lecciones
at
también
9th and
dirigido
10th graders,
para
and
los
then
estudiantes
finally
del noveno y
a
décimo
parent
grado. Y
program
finalmente, programa para los
consisting
padres que
of
incluye
5 2-hour
5
sessions. DARE's
sesiones de 2
completely
horas. DARE
new
es
science-based
completamente
curriculum is launched last
su
fall
nuevo plan
and is being
académico
used in elementary,
científico
middle, and
nuevo.
high schools. It
Está
also
siendo
is
presentado en
believed by
diferentes
parents and
preparatorias
teachers
y
and community
primeras.
leaders that it plays an
Muchos miembros de la
important role
comunidad
in
sienten
children
que toma un
making the
trabajo muy
decision
importante para
not
que
to
los niños hagan la
participate in
decisión de no
drugs and
participar
violence.
en
So we're here to give
estupefacientes y
Charlie a
violencia. Estamos
resolution,
aquí
and
para
particularly
entregarle a Charlie una
sensitive in the
resolución
fact that
particularmente
DARE
sensible al
started
hecho de que
in the
DARE
city of
empezó
Los
en la
Angeles
ciudad de Los
with 8
Ángeles
officers
con
and has
8
grown
oficiales y ha
throughout the
crecido en
world.
todo el
And we would
mundo
hope that,
y
Charlie,
esperamos
that
que
DARE
Charlie
America
que
keeps up its work.
DARE
And
America
I would
continúe con su
hope that
trabajo y
as we
espero
go
que
through the budget
mientras
process that we'll
tratemos con
really
el proceso de
reevaluate some
presupuesto
of the
que
issues
volvamos a
that deal with DARE
reevaluar
and
los
ensure
asuntos
that
que
you're-
tratan con
the
DARE
funding
y
is
así
there for
asegurarnos
this
que
program.
esté el dinero adecuado para continuar con este programa.
Thank you very much,
Muchas
Councilman
gracias,
Parks. I'd like to
Parks. Me
express
gustaría
my appreciation to the
dar
City
las gracias
Council
al Consejo de la
for this
Comunidad por
recognition. I'm accepting it on behalf of
municipal por ser reconocidos
63,000
de parte de
police officers
63,000
throughout the
agentes de
world
policía en todo el
who teach
mundo,
this program and make a
los que
difference
enseñan
in
este
the
programa
lives of
y
our
hacen
children.
una diferencia en las vidas de nuestros
I
niños.
think that
Creo que
what you should know
lo que
is
deben
that
de saber es de que
it's particularly appropriate that
es
you're
particularmente
recognizing
adecuado
us
que
in Los Angeles.
recibiese el
As the
reconocimiento en
councilman
Los
said,
Ángeles.
this
El
is the
concejal ha dicho,
birthplace
esto
of
es el
DARE,
nacimiento del programa DARE.
and something Los Angeles should be very
Es
proud
algo
of.
por lo
It
cual
has
Los
made a
Ángeles
real
debe sentir mucho orgullo. Ha
difference
hecho una
since
gran diferencia
1983
desde
when DARE was
1983 cuando
founded.
DARE
Drug
se organizó
usage in this this country and in this city is down over 50%. And with our new science-based curriculum, we're going to go beyond that. And I would just ask you and beseech you, as you go through your budget deliberations,
planea
look
tratar con sus
at the importance
presupuestos
of
que miren
DARE.
la
There's
importancia
nothing
de
more
DARE, nada
important than
más
our children.
importante que nuestros
I'm
niños.
reminded, a DARE officer told me a couple
Un
weeks ago,
oficial
we
de
were
DARE
talking
me
about
dijo hace un par de
prevention
semanas
and
estamos
an ounce
acerca de
of
prevención.
prevention being worth a pound of cure, etc. And he
Una
said
onza
it
de
in a way I've
prevención
never
es
heard it
igual
said
a
before. So there's some
un
people
kilo
out at a
de
picnic,
curación. Y esto lo que me
and
dijo
it's by a
esta persona
river,
está
and
en
all
un
of a
picnic,
sudden,
y de
children are
repente
floating down the
pequeños
river screaming
están
for help and drowning. And everyone bravely jumped in and started rescuing the children, except for one person who took off in the opposite direction.
un oficial
And
le
someone
tuvo
yelled at him and said, "What are you
al
doing?"
lago para salvarlo.
He says, "I'm going upstream to find out why all these kids are falling in and drowning and try to stop it." That's what the DARE officer is doing. Thank you very much again for your recognition. We're greatly honored by it. Thank you.
Quiero ver por qué están cayendo en este lago para hundirse. Y de eso se trata ese programa de prevención. Gracias.
Next, I'd like to ask Patricia Kinnaman to come up,
Patricia, pase por favor.
and Tom Laban should be on his way. This is a joint presentation. We're honoring Patricia also with the Women's Month as the founder, chief executive officer of her company in her name. This corporation, which she owns, operates the traditional equestrian school, one of the most highly regarded equestrian institutions in the nation. It was founded in 1981 at the Bell Canyon Equestrian Center. She successfully managed and operated the school for 11 years, turning it into an 80-stall operation. She's been instrumental in the relocation of that facility and has been the center of this notable facility in the Los Angeles Equestrian Center since 1986. The traditional equestrian is now among the largest and most successful schools in the United States, offering a wide variety of discipline for all riders as well as working with student programs, yearly equestrian vacations to Ireland and summer horse camp, and special programs for inner-city children. She runs the Los Angeles Equestrian Center's Dominion Saddlery, the most popular equestrian boutique and tax shop in the country, which has been profiled and awarded many times within the news media. Her lifelong commitment to success and dedication are the direct results of her own involvement with the groups and organizations in which she has pledged her exceptional talent. Just to name a few, she is on the council of various organizations, the competition director for World Championship in Toronto, Canada, the top council and sponsor clinics for the United States Equestrian Team, top council and international judge forum for the American Horse Show Association. She's also a member of the Los Angeles Horse Show and Exhibitors Association, the Los Angeles chapter of the Dressage Society. She's fulfilling a history with the Olympics. She served as the West Coast manager of dressage for the 75 Olympic screening trials. She also served in that capacity in 1978, and also in 84, she was the director in the city of Los Angeles. She also had a special consultant to the Olympic Games in Seoul, Korea. She was born in Olympia, Washington, graduated as valedictorian from Rainier High School in 1965, and received a bachelor's degree from Montana State in 1969. We're here to honor her for all of the things that she has done in this community, not only as a businesswoman, but somebody that has taken on a personal responsibility as it relates to competition, also bringing forth a number of minority communities and showing them that they can also be involved in a activity and a skill and a sport in which they have not been commonly associated. So I'd like to ask Patricia to come up.
Se han asociado con de manera
I want to
habitual.
thank
Quiero dar las
everybody
gracias a
for
todos por
offering this
por
award to
ofrecernos
me.
este
I have to tell you, every morning I
premio.
wake
Por lo
up and I
menos
say,
me
"Good
despierto y
morning,
digo,
Los
"Buenos
Angeles." And
días,
this
Los
afternoon I
Ángeles.
want to
Esta tarde
say,
quiero decir
thank you, Los
gracias, Los
Angeles,
Ángeles,
for this
por
wonderful
este
award. I'm
lindo
proud to be
premio.
here.
Estoy muy orgulloso de estar aquí.
Thank you, Mr. Parks. For our next presentation, let me recognize Councilmember Garcetti.
Concejal Garcetti.
very much. Mr. President,
Gracias, señor
good morning,
presidente.
colleagues,
Buenos
members of the
días,
public.
colegas, miembros del público.
A couple of things I'd like
Varias
to
cosas me
give
gustaría
presentations on this morning. The
presentaciones
first
esta mañana.
are
La
two
primera
guests to this city
es
from
presentación para los
abroad.
invitados de esta ciudad, los
Two
invitados de esta
wonderful
ciudad del extranjero.
people who have
Dos personas muy
taken
lindas que han
their idea and their mission to bike
tomado su idea y
around
una
the
misión
world
de andar en bicicleta en
are
todo el
here in
mundo.
Los
Ellos
Angeles
están aquí
today,
en Los
and I'd
Ángeles
like
el
you
día de hoy.
please
Quiero que,
to
por favor,
welcome
le den la
them both.
bienvenida a ambos.
We'll get to their nicknames in a second, but Otawan
Diremos su
Otong
apodo
and
dentro de un minuto.
Charoen
Orowan
Otong too.
Otto
Please give them
y
a
Sharon
round of
Otto. Un
applause.
aplauso, por favor.
The two of them are about my age, one born 1971, and they met an individual a few years back who had biked all the way from Europe, from Belgium, I believe, to Thailand, and they got inspired to do the same thing, but to go even further, to literally take their bicycles and go around the world. After some warm-up trips, one from Thailand to Laos, and a few other trips they made, they decided to set off and to see if you couldn't bike the entire world. And so far, they have been to Malaysia, Indonesia, Australia, New Zealand, Chile, Ecuador, and you can follow their progress online at thaibikeworld.com. That's THAIBikeworld.com. They're known by their nicknames, Juan and Mu, and they represent Thais and the Thai nation in their travels. They are promoting Thailand, its wonderful culture, its customs, and its values, so that people have a better understanding of Thailand and will come hopefully and visit them as well. They're also promoting the idea of cycling, that cycling is a good means of transport, that it reduces pollution, that it is an effective way to get to work, it's an effective way to visit friends. And I know each year that we promote our annual Bike to Work Day, and that is something that's mirrored here, but they are on a mission to make sure that everybody knows that you can bike to work or you can bike around the world. And throughout their trips, they are being met by people around the world. And they're also conducting a painting contest for Thai children who are then going to receive souvenirs throughout the world when they are here. So it gives me great joy. I know we have some friends from the Thai community here, Chansey from our Thai CDC, who first told me about them. But when we were having our annual Thai festival this year in Thai town, I said that we had to bring them here, and I would like to present both of them with certificates of welcome on the occasion of your visit to El Pueblo de Nuestra Señora de la Reina de Los Ángeles. That's the official long name of our city, Los Angeles. Today, on behalf of the entire City Council, we extend you warm wishes, and we want you to have a very successful bike ride around the world. Please welcome both of them as I give them these certificates, and we'll hear a little something from them. Congratulations, and it's great to have you here in Los Angeles.
Thank you very much for the great honor. We both are very proud, and we are now ready to bicycle in the United States of America. Thank you very much.
Good catch. Mr. President.
Mr. Ludlow.
Thank you for
Gracias.
Los Angeles
Los
City.
Ángeles, a Los Ángeles.
Mr. Ludlow.
Councilman Garcetti, I just wanted to thank you for doing this, and I just wanted to find out, for the rest of their journey, where are they going to put those resolutions?
El resto de su viaje, ¿dónde van a
The
guardar
little
estas
secret about our
resoluciones?
resolutions is they roll up very
Secretos
nice.
de las resoluciones que nos pueden doblar muy,
Thank you
muy
very
bonito.
much.
Muchas
Congratulations,
gracias,
and we'll look forward to seeing you on
felicitaciones,
ThaiBikeWorld.com. It's a great way
Pueden ir
to
a
learn about the geography of the world
ThaiBikeWorld.com,
as we're
es una
following
linda
Mu
manera
and
de
Juan
saber
around the
acerca
world.
de
So congratulations,
la
and thank
geografía
you.
del mundo. Mientras seguimos a esas dos personas a todo el mundo. Gracias.
Thank you, Mr. Garcetti. For our next presentation, let me recognize Councilmember. Oh, okay.
Al concejal. Una más.
I'd like to ask Tara Bradshaw to join me
Tara Bradshaw, pase por favor.
for presentation. George,
Una
come on up.
presentación, George, pase por favor.
Colleagues,
Colegas,
I don't have a proclamation
no
to give
tengo
today
una
because we are
proclamación que dar
celebrating
porque
and
estamos
proclaiming,
celebrando y
along with the mayor of
proclamando
Los
junto con el
Angeles,
alcalde de
that
Los Ángeles
we
que
will have every Monday
todos los
in May
lunes
be
en mayo
E-Day
va a
here in the
ser
city of
el
Los
día
Angeles,
de
which
E,
stands
que
for
es Los
Electronic
Ángeles,
Day here in the city of
Día
Los
electrónico
Angeles.
aquí nació en
In a
Los
time
Ángeles.
of
Durante
difficult
tiempos
budgets,
de
we
presupuestos
have a
dificultades
tradition that
económicas,
started, I
tenemos
think,
una
first
tradición
in
que empezó
Denmark.
primero en
And already they have saved
Dinamarca,
25 million euros, about $30 million, by promoting within their government the continued use, instead of paper, of electronic forms, of recycling, and making sure that we all try to wean ourselves off of paper for different days in the month of May. So each Monday, and there's a memo that's gone out electronically to all of the city from the mayor, all departments and all staff members, and we welcome the city of Los Angeles to join us in their companies, in their homes, and other places, to see if you can get through the day without using a piece of paper. Unless there's a legal reason you need to put something down in paper, put it in email, put it in an electronic form, and the city of Los Angeles has a great infrastructure to do this. When George first suggested this to me, I thought it was a wonderful idea, and as we looked at this research, and as we are sitting through budget deliberations each day, colleagues, and we realize that the difference between saving a few $1 million and not means the difference between parks being open for the hours that we deserve them to be open, the difference between our libraries having the facilities and books that they deserve to have, whether we're going to have the senior services and other things that the city provides. So in looking at the savings, we should be inspired to do the same thing. And according to some of the calculations I've done, if we could match what Denmark did, we would save ourselves about $4 or $5 million this coming year by promoting that. So instead of a proclamation, I have the resolution here in electronic form. Right here, and I'm going to give it to the ITA department on a disc, which they can then use as soon as this E-Day is done, and they can recycle it for some other thing. So I'd like to present Thera with this today, and ask everybody to go to www.lacity.org/E-Day, our city's main website /E-Day, and for our colleagues, you can go to that website, and it will have there all the electronic forms you need, ways of getting city contracts without ever filling out a single piece of paper, making sure that we have federal government forms and other things right there on that website. So we encourage the entire city family to make that difference. If you're looking for an action after E-Day, this is a wonderful way, after Earth Day, it's a wonderful way to follow it up with these E-Days. So with that, I'd like to turn it over to the department to talk a little bit about it as well, and thank them for their great work with us too.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Garcetti, and thanks to the Mayor's Office for offering this out to the city, and thank you to the City Council for looking at doing business differently rather than producing pounds of paper, going paperless in an electronic way, and using technology that ultimately is powered by people, both in businesses, in residents, and within the city. And this is a great thing to champion, not just because it saves money, but because we are in an electronic age. It is the world of technology, and it allows us to try something new, try something different, and save money, and gain efficiencies, and do things differently. So thank you very much to the council, and thank you very much, Councilmember Garcetti, who is quite a technologist himself if he does this. Thank you.
So the challenge is before us, colleagues. Make sure your office does your part, make sure each department does their part. I know that Mr. Smith, in looking at landfills, has pointed out many times how important our recycling programs have been, and that we not only met our goal from the state, but we surpassed it. If we can begin to do that too with the amount of paper that comes through our desks, we're going to make a big difference here in the city of Los Angeles and save money. So thank you all very much, and have a happy E-Day. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Garcetti. For our next presentation, let me recognize Councilmember Villaraigosa.
Mr. President, members, Thank you for the opportunity to present this resolution. Unfortunately, we had a whole classroom worth of young people that had to get back to school. Here we are at 12:15 and couldn't be here to present this resolution. They are young students from the East Side Boys and Girls Club and go to schools on the East Side, needed to get back. But as we speak, there are a few thousand young children at Plaza Olvera celebrating Dia de los Niños. Now, what is Dia de los Niños? Roughly translated, Day of the Children. It is a day celebrated all throughout the world, especially in Latin America, but it's now become a day of celebration in honor of the children throughout the entire world. And while those of us who talk about the children being our future and our priority, always celebrate the children on a daily basis. This is a special day, a day to come together and commit ourselves to doing more for the young children. And we're here with individuals who are part of this wonderful Dia de los Niños. And let me just share with you a couple of statistics that we thought was important. Today, among Hispanic children, about 500,000 of them drop out of school each year. The highest dropout rate of any ethnic group. And so one of the things that we've committed ourselves to do in this Day of the Children here in the United States is to focus on literacy, to focus on education. And so today's a wonderful festival, a celebration of Dia de los Niños, as I said, which is now an international day of recognition of the child. And we have with us a couple of representatives who will introduce themselves and say a few words.
Thank you, Councilman. Good morning, everyone. My name is Judith Carrasco, and I'm the co-chair for this year's Los Angeles, el Día de los Niños Los Angeles Committee. On behalf of myself and the entire Día de los Niños Committee, we are proud to bring this tradition to the children and the community of Los Angeles. The National Latinos Children's Institute launched a national initiative to establish April 30th as el Día de los Niños, celebrating young Americans in the United States. Our mission, which is very important to us, is to focus on uplifting all children into the millennium by having their own day of celebration, just like we have Father's Day and Mother's Day, to bring diverse communities together with the purpose of building a safe and healthy nation for our children. El Día de los Niños Celebrating Young Americas is a collaborative community event coordinated by the Los Angeles area El Día de los Niños Committee, which is comprised with over 50 local agencies and elected officials in conjunction with the National Latinos Children's Institute. This year's celebration includes the generous support of Mervyn's, Univision, Scholastics, which we're very fortunate this year that they donated 10,000 books for our children for our two-day event that we have today and tomorrow. And of course, we also have KB Toy Store and many more other supporters. This year's event, as Councilman has mentioned, is focused on literacy. We want to encourage our children to read in order to prepare them for language and social skills and school readiness. The Día de los Niños Committee members are proud to be part of the gift that we're giving our children today. The gift of honoring them, recognizing them, and celebrating them, which they will represent the hopes and dreams of every community that they're part of and our future. Our event, just to let you know, it's happening right now at Olvera Street. We will be there until 2 o'clock, and we hope that you all come with us tomorrow as well. We will be celebrating tomorrow, Saturday, May 1st, at East Los Angeles College. We will be there from 10 to 4, so we really hope that you can join us to come and support our children. Last but not least, we would like to thank our Councilman Antonio Villarreal Zaragoza. Thank you so much, sir, for helping us to support our children. We want to make sure that we are the voice of our children who are our future. So thank you very much. We appreciate all your support, Councilman.
Mr. President and council members, we've been doing this for 7 years here for the city of Los Angeles, and we ought to thank all of you for your support, for the continued support. But we want to challenge each council district to host an event next year for Dia de los Niños. You know, throughout the country and throughout international, there's been events at schools and community centers and places. And next year, we're trying to emphasize schools and community centers and homes to really honor this day as the Day of the Children. Again, thank you.
Thank you all so much. I'd like to present you with this. You're welcome.
For our next presentation, let me recognize Councilmember Parks.
Concejal Parks.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm going to be joined by Mr. Ed Reyes, and we're going to do a favor for Jan Perry in the 9th District because she's not here today, and honoring a number of people in the community. So, Ed.
Thank you, Councilman Parks. On behalf of Councilman Perry, we have with us Club Ambato of Los Angeles. Joining us is Paulo J. Guerrero, Executive Director of the Festival of Fruits and Flowers Committee, Comité Permanente de la Fiesta de la Fruta y de las Flores. We also have with us Gabriel Galarza Tobar, President of the Chamber of Tourism in Ecuador. We also with us Carolina Pozo, Queen of the City of Ambato. And joining us is Laura Comanda Espen, School Principal, Centro Educativo Ambato de Los Angeles. With that, back to you, Mr. Parks.
This event is held in the city of Ambato, Ecuador. It's a festival of fruit and flowers, one of the most important carnival celebrations in Latin America. It gathers hundreds and thousands of people from all over the world and brings different forms of folklore and culture from many different countries. Polo has been a key player for the last 3 years in this event, which has more than 50 years of history under its belt. He has a master's degree in business and a doctorate in accounting and several other certificates. His profuse education and preparation in finance has helped him cause this program to be at its highest level. The Club Ambato de Los Angeles brings this gentleman to the city of LA to recognize his hard work and perseverance and professionalism. Ms. Glazara Tobar is one of the most distinguished citizens in the area of tourism and promotion. She, as a general manager of Cannes Tours, has promoted Ecuador throughout the world, and particularly this festival. Gabriel has participated in seminars in Madrid, Barcelona, Spain, and a variety of other countries, represented Ecuador at the International Convention of Tourism. Also, the crown queen of the city of Ambato, Ecuador, Ms. Pozo, is committed to the work for the education of young people in Ecuador. Carolina is also promoting tourism and making the invitation to all citizens of the city of LA to visit Ecuador and enjoy its friendliness and all of the issues dealing with the festival. And so we're here today, and along with Ms. Espen, who is the principal that brings forth all of them here today to honor them and to tell them great work, and also to encourage everyone from Los Angeles to think about this as a tourist attraction. So I want to hand out these awards at this time.
Mr. President, council members, for us, the Ecuadorian community, is an honor to be here. As part of this Hispanic community here in Los Angeles, we feel part of this great city because of the different people that we make this society, make this great town. Again, here we bring part of our culture. We bring the president of the tourism Also, Mr.
Esta noche
Polo
su presidente
is the
de
executive
turismo,
director of
señor
the
Polo,
festival,
ejecutivo
one of the
del
most
festival,
famous
uno de los
festivals in
más
Latin America.
festivales más
And of
famosos
course,
en
we have our
Latinoamérica.
queen and we
También
have the
tenemos a
club
la reina,
members.
a los miembros del club.
It's an honor for us
Es un
to be
honor
here.
estar aquí con
It's an
ustedes,
honor
es
for
un
us to
honor
be residents of Los
ser
Angeles.
residentes de Los
And
Ángeles y
thank you very much for
muchísimas
this
gracias por
recognition.
este reconocimiento.
Thank you, Mr. Parks. And for our final presentation, Councilmember Labange.
Hi, this is Dela who is speaking. Angie, this is Dela. Listen, my deposition.
Barbara Hartsfield, our great Department of Transportation traffic control officer, who's been here before because she saved a man's life on Fountain Avenue at Myra one day and provided CPR and one day. And Officer Bowers is here. They were both champions for our March of Dimes Walk America for Healthy Babies
Quiero
just
dar las
last week.
gracias a
And they asked us to make it
March of Dimes
appropriate
por la
to
caminata el año
pick the
pasado.
winners for several different
Ellos han
categories.
hecho
And officer, if you could just explain
una
what
gran
this
parte para escoger a
special
los
gold
ganadores.
surplus parking meter is for?
The Los Angeles Department of Transportation and its generous employees have stood shoulder to shoulder with in the various projects that the City of Los Angeles has presented. And the one that comes to the forefront at this time of the year is the March of Dimes. Throughout the business community, several of the owners have generously contributed items that we could use to raise money for the March of Dimes. This year, the Los Angeles Department of Transportation, along with its generous employees, have raised $9,999 for the American Cancer Society, in addition to over $20,000 so far for the March of Dimes, and we have yet to get a complete count. So at this point, what we'd like to do is ask the council members to join us in drawing the winners of the various items. We have several here, if we could set them out. One of which is a surplus parking meter. If you all remember the days when you used to put the money in and you turned the handle, and that was your time. One of the items that the councilman has in his hand now says,
This is for the coffee bean tea leaf basket, an opportunity
La canasta
try.
de coffee
And we're going to
leaf
ask Mr. Garcetti, I'm going to shake it
de
up,
café y de
go like this real quick, and now pick it.
this was generously donated by the Coffee Bean and Tea Leaf, and it contains 2 pounds of fair trade coffee and other items.
libras de café y otros artículos.
Got the winner here
Un ganador aquí es
is.
You need glasses, Mr. Garcetti?
No, I've got the glasses
Tiene
on.
lente, necesita
Here,
lentes
the
García,
winner
no tengo
is,
mis
I'll tell
lentes
you how to do it, but
ganadores,
you
yo
can't read the
no
name, you
puedo
read
leer
the
el nombre,
number.
el número.
463157. We're going to hold this form. We're going to find out and make sure. And there with the city department, right there. So Hollywood Parking.
It's Hollywood Parking.
Hollywood Parking.
I want to say Socorro. Lily Socorro, maybe.
Lily Socorro,
Maybe.
aquí
Okay,
está.
All right,
we'll
good.
hold this now. Where are you going to put this, officer?
¿Dónde lo va a guardar?
Right here. We'll put it so we don't. All right, carry it.
Our second item is a dinner for two, which was generously donated by the Tidal Wave restaurant, which is located at 6122 Sunset Boulevard.
That's right.
En su distrito, sí.
And we've got David Emanuel
Emanuel.
is our winner.
Es nuestro ganador.
Congratulations, Mr.
Felicitaciones,
Emanuel.
señor Emanuel.
463296.
46296.
Also of Hollywood
También
Parking
de
Enforcement.
Hollywood
Our
Parking.
next item,
El siguiente objeto.
Speaking
Now-
of Hollywood.
this was donated by the Kenny Lord Spa. We have
Kenny Lord
2 one-hour certificates for a massage, which he calls musical massage because he has XM satellite radio, and we have 2 of them, so we'll need 2 winners.
Necesitamos 2 ganadores.
We got to pick one at a time, Eric.
Ray Lamplin.
Ray Lamplin,
That's our Deputy Chief of Parking Enforcement, Raymond Lampkin.
subjefe de movimiento de estacionamiento. Ray, uno más.
Ken Collins, you're getting a
Ken
massage.
Collins. Va a recibir masaje.
We have another item,
Tenemos otro
and this
objeto,
one
y
seems to have been the
parece
one that
que
has
es
sparked the
el
most
que
interest. We have 2 parking meters, one of
hizo
which is
que
painted white and one is
tuviéramos hay
green.
dos parquímetros,
And I want to
uno
wish
blanco y
everyone
otro verde.
good
Buena
luck.
suerte a todos.
Mr. Villaraigosa, you're head of the Transportation Committee.
Usted es jefe
Could you
del
please
Comité de Transportación. Paz.
pick this? All right. Antonio? All right, good.
All right. All right. Here we go.
Felicia Tate.
Felicia Tate.
Felicia Tate.
Felicia Tate. Hollywood Park. Eso está bonito.
Yes, one more.
Okay,
Uno
good.
más.
Here we go.
Todd Erickson.
Todd Erickson.
Todd Erickson.
Todd Erickson.
I believe that gentleman was a walker at the walk on
Ese señor
Saturday who was
caminó
very
en la
generous and
caminata el
bought
sábado.
several tickets.
Muy
And we
generoso,
want to
compró
thank
varios
him for
boletos
that.
gracias a él también.
And our final item
Y el último
is
artículo es
it'll be a gift for a twosome
regalo
to play in
para
the
dos personas
2004
que
Southern California Invitational Golf Tournament at the Riviera
juegan
Country
en
Club.
el
This is to play in the golf tournament at
Camp-
Riviera Country Club for our viewers at home.
competencia de golf. De golf.
Okay, here we go.
Are there viewers at home today?
¿Hay personas viéndonos en televisión el día de hoy? Es para jugar 2 juegos
Gary
de golf.
Campos.
Gary Campos.
All right.
All right, Gary, we did it. It's
Felicitaciones,
official.
Gary.
We really want to thank the
Queremos
Department
dar
of
las gracias al
Transportation
Departamento de
and all the city
Transportación y a todos
departments,
los
and
departamentos de
especially
la ciudad,
Zaki
especialmente
Mustafa,
a Zaki
under the
Mustafa,
direction of
bajo
Wayne
la dirección
Tanda,
de
and
Wayne
all
Tanda
the
y
team at
todo el
LADOT
equipo
who
en
did a
el
fabulous
ADOT que
job
hacen un gran
last week on
trabajo,
Walk
hicieron un gran trabajo
America.
la semana
And
pasada
Officer
en
Bowers,
Walk
get right
America,
in here,
en la
so if you ever see
caminata.
her on the street,
Señora Flowers,
hello.
si la ven en la calle, salúdenla y la conocerán.
All right, let's give the LADOT a big hand and our parking enforcement team.
Felicitaciones.
Thank you guys. Oh, absolutely. It's wonderful that you did that.
Thank you very much, Mr. Labange. Congratulations to all the winners. Colleagues, it is now 12:30
Son
p.m.
las 2:30 de la
and this
tarde.
concludes
Eso
presentations
termina
for
las
today's meeting.
presentaciones para la reunión del día de hoy.
Mr. Clerk, next item,
Secretario
please.
Municipal.
Now would be time for
Ahora es
comments from the
momento
public on
para hacer
items not
comentarios
appearing on
del público
today's
sobre
council
asuntos que no
agenda.
están en la agenda del día
Okay,
de hoy.
this is
Bien,
general
ese
public
es
comments
comentario del público,
for today's
comentario general del
meeting.
público para la reunión del día
And
de
boy,
hoy.
oh
Y
boy, we have a few
tenemos
cards here.
unas cuantas tarjetas aquí.
If I can ask the clerk to put up a 10-minute clock.
Pongo un reloj de
Well,
10
our
minutos,
screens are
por
down,
favor.
my bad.
No,
The
no,
clerk
no
can
siguen los
help us out
monitores.
in keeping
Tony,
track of
por
time
favor.
here. I'm going to call a series of names, and if you would all form a line behind the podium, that would help expedite this public comment period for today's meeting. Also notice there's a handful of the cards that wish to speak to the council regarding the budget. So let me remind everybody that the Budget and Finance Committee, considering the mayor's proposed budget for fiscal year 2004-2005, will meet at the conclusion of council or at 2 p.m., whichever comes later. Alex Huff is our first public comment card, followed by Don Garza, Daniel Hernandez Dominguez, Miguel Angel Perez, Juan Carlos Garcia. Again, if you would form a line behind the podium, we'd really appreciate it. Commissioner Huff.
Thank you, Council President Padilla, honorable council members. Good afternoon. My name is Alex Huff, and I am the Youth Commissioner on the Commission for Children, Youth, and Their Families. I'm here today to express my concern about the proposed severe cuts to the Commission's budget and staff. The proposed budget calls for drastic reductions that will seriously compromise the Commission's capacity and significantly undermine the work it has already done to make the city more family-friendly and responsive to its children and youth. Such catastrophic reductions will eliminate many of the Commission's current functions, including its ability to support the Youth Council. The city has a 30-year history of positive youth development and engagement. The current Youth Council was created in 1996 and is composed of 14 to 19-year-old city residents who represent each of the city's 15 city council districts. They serve as advocates of the city's youth and by promoting existing city-sponsored programs, identifying the need for new programs and activities, and encouraging the involvement of young people in the city's governmental process. Each year, the Youth Council works to address issues impacting young people by organizing public forums, registering young people to vote, recruiting youth to serve on various boards and commissions, participating in statewide initiatives, hosting youth leadership skills trainings, and publishing the quarterly newsletter, LA Youth Speak Out. The history and progress we have made will be undermined, and the work we have done will be lost if you adopt the mayor's proposed budget in its present form. I understand the city is facing a serious budget crisis, but I ask you to reaffirm the city's commitment to and the city's investment in our children, youth, and families. I urge you to take a second look at the proposed cuts and protect the good work of the Commission for Children, Youth, and their families. In closing, I stood before you 4 months ago to be appointed as Youth Commissioner. My goal being to represent the youth of Los Angeles. I am upset and afraid to report that if the mayor's budget passes in its present form, the Youth Council will cease to exist, and my job will be just that much harder. Council members Reyes, Gruel, Labange, and Assembly Member Mark Ridley Thomas are proof that the Youth Council works. However, the proposed budget by our mayor seems to show thoughts to the contrary. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Our next speaker is Mr. Don Garza.
Yeah, I came on, was it Wednesday that I came and yelled at everybody? I think, do you remember? I think it was Wednesday, right? Tuesday, that's right.
We're still feeling it.
Oh, well, you know. About the neighborhood council, I still haven't gotten any response from Ms. Hahn on the allegations I made as far as our neighborhood council election not having equal access to Skid Row, not having equal access. I just want to know if you've done anything about that or asked any questions about that. I'd really like to know.
Okay. We can't act on anything brought
I'm
to
not
us.
going to act on it, but I will say, as a result of your comments, I've actually asked for a report back from the Department of Neighborhood Empowerment as to these allegations and how we might correct it. So we're going to bring it up in my committee.
You know,
we'll let you know.
And I'm sure, and I just want to respect the people who are also waiting
Yes.
to speak. Ms. Hahn has staff here who's willing to help you out as well.
What was that?
Ms. Hahn's staff, I'm sure, will be willing to help you out as
Okay,
well.
that's not a problem. The other thing,
Okay.
too, is that I've been, you know, I'm the downtown Los Angeles town crier, and I'm going to competition next week to compete against other town criers, just to let you know that hopefully after this next first competition I'm going to, I'll be able to come back and do one of the cries for you guys about how wonderful the city of Los Angeles is. And for the record, the LA Times spoke of Senor Antonio Villaraigosa this morning about the last campaign that he ran, and I do watch each and every one of the council members here, and I have to be impartial and nonpartisan, but I've got to say this for the record. Mr. Antonio Villaraigosa does come down to Skid Row, and he does pass out turkey and ham and dressing, and he does look after us. So for the record, for those people who just may decide this next time to start calling him a drug dealer, that's not what he's doing down there. He's feeding us.
Thank you.
And just that.
Okay, our next group of speaker cards come from a number of people here on the South Central Farmers issue, and maybe they can combine their testimony here. Daniel Hernandez Dominguez, Miguel Ángel Pérez, Juan Carlos García, Pablo Rodríguez Gómez, Martín García Hernández, y Vaquero Rosas.
Buenas tardes. Mi nombre es Pedro Vaquero Rosas. Venimos de parte del jardín que se encuentra en la 41 y Long Beach. Queremos seguir trabajando la tierra porque hay personas que nos quieren mover, quitar el jardín.
Good afternoon to everybody. My name is Pedro Vaquero Rosas. I'm here to represent a lot of the farmers regarding the garden on 41st and Long Beach. There's a lot of people that want to take the garden away from us. It's a garden where we're currently working.
Es un jardín, me imagino que es el jardín más grande que existe en todo Estados Unidos. Por lo tanto, queremos que la tierra es de quien la trabaja. Sembramos y plantamos hortalizas.
We think it's the largest garden, not only in the United States. What we do there is we plant, we cultivate vegetables.
Pueden caminar, pasar por el jardín y ver cómo las plantas de su estado natural nacen de la tierra. No queremos que nos quiten ese lugar porque hay lugares que se ha quemado, acres que se han quemado y por lo tanto se está destruyendo la naturaleza.
We believe that the land belongs to those who cultivate and farm the land. You can come to our garden, you can walk, look at the flowers, look at the garden, and see what nature provides for you. There's been a lot of land lost to fires.
Hay algunas personas que no están de acuerdo en que sigamos, pero nosotros vamos a estar ahí porque la tierra es de quien la trabaja. Gracias.
We understand that there's people that do not want us to be there, but once again, I'd like to tell you that the land belongs to those who work on the land. Thank you.
Gracias.
Sí, mi nombre es Juan Carlos García. Yo también soy parte del Jardín Urbano de aquí no nos vamos a ir y la tierra es nuestra y la vamos a seguir trabajando.
Hi, my name is Juan Carlos Garcia. I am also here on behalf of the Urban Garden. People want us to leave, but I'm here to tell you that we're not leaving. We will continue working there. Thank you.
Thank you.
Miguel Angel Perez. Just want to make a few comments. Still, we are here, South Central Farmers, representing humanity. Again, aquí estamos y no nos vamos, tierra y libertad. Thank you.
Thank you. Gracias. And I'll add the cards from Daniel Hernandez, Pablo Rodriguez, and Martin Garcia to the file as well. Our next group of speaker cards come from the Small Local Business Association. Candido Mares, Mark Conan, Marcy Stark, Richard Grappelli, Vanessa Dean, Joe, is it Sina or Sind? John Bush, and George Martinez. If you are all here as a group, I see you have a pretty good-looking spokesman there.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you very much for giving us the time. When I was appointed to the Small Local Business Advisory Committee, I didn't realize the impact that was going to have on the small business community. I would like to have you hear from them. These individuals have worked very, very hard to supply and make sure that the City of Los Angeles has the equipment and the necessities that they need to keep this city running. I'll let each one of them introduce themselves.
Yes, my name is John Bush. With the contract that is in force at this time, it's a large contract. Each business has been able to work along with the contract. Each business has been able to do different items that they supply, different services. Now with the enforcing of the contract only, each small business is being taken away from this. Each one is being taken away from their own special services and products. By doing this, the department is now, the workers are handicapped because they cannot get the supplies, they can't have the services, the training that they need to be able to perform their duties at a minute's notice. It could take possibly 3, 4, 5 days to get items now, and it's only through the contract. It takes away the department's ability, along with the cost is increased when it goes to the contract. If they have to come to one of us for a certain item that we provided in the past and can no longer provide directly, the department pays an extra premium to get that product because the contractor comes to us, purchases it, and then sells again to the department. You not only will pay more for the product, you also lose the service. That contractor does not have the ability to train on some of the chemicals and the products and the items in which we provide.
I'm going to just read a letter, make it short and sweet.
Your name, sir?
My name is Joe Cena. I'm with a company called Superco Specialty Products. Ladies and gentlemen, first of all, I want to thank you for allowing me to express my concerns in this matter. I've been with Superco Specialty Products since its inception in 1984. I feel we have the best product line and field training that's possible. With today's budget constraints in the city of LA and in the state of California, I understand the need to save dollars on the cost of goods and services wherever possible. Sometimes it's not always wise to purchase the least expensive product to achieve a certain job. The product can sit on a shelf and collect dust. This affects the morale of the user. It's a huge waste of money, and the job can take twice as long. Labor is much more expensive than the cost of the product. When a product is not used, it has to be disposed of as a hazardous waste, and this can cost in the thousands of dollars. We at Superco Products take pride in the quality of our product line and back it up with complete in-the-field in-the-field training
productos
whenever
y
needed.
lo respaldamos en el
We've spent years to come up with an earth-friendly line of product that is not only safe for the user but will not harm the environment. We offer complete hazardous communication classes, in short, Right to Know, which is an OSHA requirement at no cost to the city or Department of Water and Power. We are a registered small business in the city of Los Angeles in the state of California. I personally sell products to end users within the city and DWP and have done so since 1984 and have never had a complaint about our service or our product. When an order is placed, there is no shipping or handling charges. With delivery within 3 to 5 days, this again is a huge savings to the department. When a particular product is ordered through the tool room or the warehouse, we have a considerable discount program. Something I left out in the letter, I've also been involved with the BidNet system, where you do bid online, and in 2 instances, I've actually been the lower bidder on 2 instances, and neither of those contracts or awards were given. I don't know why. To continue with my letter, if we're not allowed to do business with the Department of Water and Power, this can be a huge financial burden on all of us. The state of California and the city of LA has a ruling. You must purchase 25% of your goods and services from small business, minority companies, and women-owned. I feel this could be a major discriminating action. This is a right-to-work state, and if you take our ability away to do business, you're taking my right to work and support my family. In 1993, a little off the subject, my mother was carjacked and died of a direct result of this incident. I went to Sacramento and was able to lobby and get the carjacking laws changed so the criminal is punished much more severely. I'm not the type of person to give up on a good cause. In closing, I'd like to repeat Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger's statement that in order for this great state to recover, we not only have to take care of large corporations, we also have to take care of especially the small businesses. Without the small businesses, we will not recover. Thank you for your time, and I hope you'll continue to allow us to do business. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Candido, one or two more, because our 10-minute time is up, and there's other speakers waiting after.
Real quick, Marcy Stark, I'm with American Industrial Supply. We've been doing business in the city for over 20 years. Whenever there's action taken, there's always consequences. The consequences of moving $1 million to increase the contract, it takes away from all the people, all the small people that are trying to make a living, that are supporting their families, trying to raise their children. Personally, with my company, we have a lot of single moms, working moms, and we're just trying to do our job, get a decent paycheck, and be able to raise our family and be there to spend time with our family, and this has enabled us, and we've done business. I have personally for over 10 years with the city of Los Angeles, and they've always been fair, and all we're asking for is our little piece of the pie, and that's why we're all here, because we all find our own little niche, and we do our own little thing that makes the pie one big pie, and that's all we're asking for.
Thank you.
I'm a third-generation native Los Angeles female small business owner, and I'd like to just thank the city for considering us to do business with the Department of Water and Power.
Your name, ma'am?
Vanessa Dean of State Products.
Thank you, Ms. Dean.
Councilman, because of shortage, we will end at this. But let me, please, these companies have been doing a great service to the city of Los Angeles. Contracts and small business can coexist. We need both of them. We hope you hear our message. Thank you very much.
Okay, we appreciate it, and the other cards will be added to the record. And we also invite you, I'm sure Mr. Ludlow would be happy to have you before the Conventions, Tourism, and Business Enterprise Committee. I'm sure Mr. Garcetti would welcome you to the Housing, Community, and Economic Development Committee, and Mr. Cardenas will welcome you to the Commerce, Energy, and Natural Resources Committee as well. We have one more card. Mr. Labange?
No, I just wanted to welcome anywhere in the city of Los Angeles, since you were welcome everywhere, but I also wanted to just say, if you would want to talk to staff over here, because you all complain, there is a great outreach for businesses in our city family, and want to make sure you're talking to the right people, because some of your concerns I haven't heard lately, because we've been more aggressive in that area. So if you would, Mr. President, may I greet them on the side? Thank you.
Thank you. And is Irene Kasmer still with us?
Irene Kasmer,
Irene
Museum
Kasmer,
of Fashion Designers
Museo
and
de
Creators.
Diseños de-
Thank you very much, President Alex Padilla, and all the other very honorable council members. I know it's a long day, and I'm not
De
going to take too
modelos
much time, but
y de
I want to
ropa. Gracias a todos ustedes. De modas.
I met last night at the
Anoche
CDC with
me reuní en el CDC
Mr.
con el señor
Cliff Graves, who
Cliff
is, I think, the
Graves,
president of the
el presidente del
CDD,
CDD,
and he
y
went
él
through these drafts that I have given all of
revisó
you,
esta documentación que les
and
entregué a
I
todos ustedes.
did write up the
Escribí.
grants, but he said that I have to bring them in to the
solicitudes de
council
subvenciones, pero
members
tenía que
of this
presentarle estas
honorable committee
solicitudes
and
a
have
los
them
concejales de este
sign it.
comité, y
And
se
I
tienen
am
que
not going to
firmar, y
read
no
about
voy
the
a leer
grants, but
acerca
want
de
us
las
to
solicitudes,
save
pero
the examiner
quieren que-
building, which they would like to give us, if our grants are accepted, a down payment of $5 million. And the rest of it probably will
solicitudes
cost
para
$30 million to
subvenciones.
fix it into a museum. I have
Queremos presentar esas solicitudes para el
contacted a
museo,
lot
me he
of
comunicado
people,
con
and I
muchas
think that
personas
we
y
can
creo
have
que
the $30 million to
podemos
fix it into
tenerlos,
a
sí podemos
museum
conseguir los 80 millones
as
para
per
arreglarlo para que sea un
written
museo.
in the strategic plan of
Como se
downtown
escrito en
LA.
el plan estratégico
The
del
other
Centro
one
Los Ángeles,
is
el
for
otro es
the
para
annex, which was made
el
an
annex,
agreement with
el cual
Mr.
hizo un
Shao
acuerdo con el
Cuba,
señor
and the
Shao
city
Cuba,
gave
y
Shao
la ciudad
Cuba
le dio a
many,
Shao
many
Cuba
things.
muchísimas
So they
cosas.
will,
Por lo tanto,
the grant asked for a
el fondo se
feasibility
pide por
study,
un
and I have
estudio
some
de
architects online
posibilidad
that
de
will make the
arquitectos
feasibility study, and we need about
que llevarán a cabo este
$350,000
estudio.
to get
Estamos
that
con 350
started,
millones
and
para
we
que
will
esto se
raise the
empiece
rest
y
of it to make
nosotros
it
recaudaremos el
a
resto del dinero
beautiful
para que
annex
se
to
haga
the
un
museum.
anexo.
And I would
Un
like
edificio
very,
anexo
very
al museo.
much,
Muy
if you
bonito, me
give me
gustaría mucho que
permission,
me
to
dan
all the
permiso
council members
para
to
que todos
bring
los
you
concejales para
the,
entregarles a usted
I don't know what's called, the
No sé qué se
grant that
llama.
we made
La
out,
solicitud de la
and it's
solución que
ready,
escribimos
and I
está
could start
preparada y
bringing
puedo
it
empezar a
Monday,
dar
and
las
we can
copias
have
el
it
lunes
signed,
y
and I
se
can
puede
take it
firmar
to
y
the
puedo
CDC. But I would
llevarlo al
like to
CDC,
give
pero
it
me
to
gustaría
every
entregárselos
council
a
member,
todos los
because
concejales porque
downtown and the
el
number
centro de Los
one
Ángeles
industry
es el primera
is
industria,
important to every
es muy
council
importante
member.
para
And
todos los
besides that,
concejales
I have
ciudadanos.
offices
Yo tengo
almost by
oficinas
now in all of your districts.
ahorita en
Thank you.
todos sus distritos. Muchas
Thank
Thank
you
you
very
very
much.
much. This concludes public comment, general public comment for today's meeting. Mr. Clerk, next item, please.
Item 9 was called special by Councilmember Misakowski, and amending motion 9A has been distributed.
Ms. Misakowski.
The amendment is just a clarification that for work that's being done by a contractor on trying to help us assess the information on the officers' cards, which when they stop traffic and pedestrian stop data, that the contractors in working with the police department will maintain confidentiality. So it's just an amendment to the contract. I ask for an aye vote.
Okay, any further discussion on item number 9? If not, let's consider that amendment without objection. Please open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
Item 9 as amended is approved. Mr. Reyes?
Thank you, Council President. I'd just like to reconsider item 28 for a technical change from May 1st to June 2704
Okay.
for that special event.
Colleagues, a motion for reconsideration on item 28. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
That item is reconsidered and back before us. We have Mr. Reyes's amending motion to change the dates. Accepted without objection. Let's reopen the roll on item 28, now as amended. Please close the roll and tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
That is approved. Mr. Clerk, next item, please.
Item 13 was called special by Councilmember Parks, and a motion is required because recommendation 1A and B differ.
Mr. Parks.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. As a member of the Public Safety Committee, we reviewed a number of what appeared to be appropriate changes to the consent decree. The one that I believe that we have to pull out of order and give considerable more attention is number 108. The recommendation shows that there is a need for effective crime fighting for uniform officers to have access to confidential informants is desired. And I think from my history on the police department, the one thing that is pretty clear that uniform officers have minimal or no role with confidential informants, and mainly because Confidential
informe
informants
tienen
need to be managed. They're generally people
responsabilidad
that
muy
are
pequeña
in
en
some
cuanto a los
form
que-
of
las
a
personas que- los
criminal
informantes,
case.
los que
The only
informan
people that are
casos
capable
criminales.
of
Las únicas
addressing
personas que pueden
informants in that regard
tratar con
are
esas
detectives.
personas de
And
esa manera
if
son
we
los
want to
detectives, y si
relive
queremos
several of the glaring
revivir
errors of Rampart,
varios
we will
errores de
allow this to
Rampart,
occur
pues, queremos que
because
esto ocurra
the
así, entonces
association
cambia, porque la
of confidential
asociación
informants,
de
and we're not talking about
informantes
civilian
confidenciales, no
informants where
hablamos cerca
somebody
de
is merely making a
informantes
telephone
leves
call, a
donde alguien solamente hace
911 or
una
a
llamada
311 call.
911 o
We're talking
311,
about people
nos
that
referimos a
are
personas que
criminals generally
son
convicted of a
criminales
crime,
generalmente
trying to
condenados por un
work
delito,
off
tratando
a
de
case or a
ayudar a
level
resolver
of
un
confinement,
caso o un
which is
nivel
not
de
a appropriate
encarcelamiento, el cual
duty
no
or
es
responsibility for uniform
responsabilidad
officers.
adecuado
And so I
para
believe that
oficiales
we have
uniformados.
done
Creo que
quite
hemos
well
hecho
with
muy buen
many of the
trabajo con muchas de las
recommendations on the consent
recomendaciones
decree,
en el
but
decreto,
this
en el
one
mandato
is a
decreto,
step
pero esto es
backwards.
un
And
paso
historically,
hacia atrás.
LAPD's
Históricamente,
manual and
LAPD,
rules and
el
regulations
manual y
have
regulaciones
always
de la PDD
restricted
siempre nos han
uniform
limitado a
officers
los
from
oficiales de uniforme,
allowing them to have a
permitirles
direct
que tengan un
contact
contacto
and
directo y
association and
asociación
a
y
working relationship
relación
with confidential
que trabaja
informants. And
con
again,
informantes,
we'll distinguish that from
confidenciales.
civilian
Esto
informants,
distinguirá
but just
de
the word confidential should
la
give you
palabra
some
confidencial
indication
debe darle cierta
that there are
indicación
people
que
that
hay
are
personas
unwilling to
que
be
no
known,
están
that you must meet with them in
disponibles,
private.
que deben de
And
reunirse con
if
ellos
you're
en
dealing with
privacidad,
uniform
y
officers,
si está
that
con
makes it
oficiales
almost
uniformes,
an
esto casi
impossible
es
task.
algo
And
trabajo
so I
imposible,
would
por
ask
tanto
that
pido
108A
que
be
108A
removed out
sea
of this
removido,
package.
quitado de este paquete.
I'd move that we move it out of the package and have
Sea
it
quitado y que
reconsidered
sea
by the working
reconsiderado
group.
por el grupo
Ms. Sikowski.
que trabaja.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, for those who might be looking at this item on the agenda, we have a list of changes that have been worked through the working group to the consent decree. And what this is, we've had these paragraphs in the consent decree that we've been working under for a long, long time. We, as many years now as we've been working under the consent decree, have looked to see if we can have a little clarification, some modifications to some of the paragraphs. The working group has been working on this for quite some time, and what this report is the submittal of those changes. Let me tell you that all of those changes generally have been supported, and before we are submitting them, we have worked them through, not only internally, as requested by the police department, but we have worked them through with the independent monitor, who is in agreement, and with the Department of Justice, which is in agreement. So this one item that Mr. Parks is saying that he's in agreement with all the other changes except for this one. This particular one, which deals with confidential informants, allows for effective crime fighting the option for uniformed officers to have confidential informants if they so desire. The procedures for uniformed and non-uniformed officer use of confidential informant procedures would remain as detailed in the rest of the paragraph. This was run by the independent monitor, this was run by the Department of Justice, the police department wants it, the working group consented to it. So your recommendation for this from the Public Safety Committee, at least the two members who were there to hear it at that time, along with Mr. Parks, Mr. Zine and I, were in agreement that the recommendation of the staff, the CLA, the police department, in concurrence with DOJ and the monitor, did make sense. So I am going to ask for an aye vote and move 1A, which is the recommendation to change this. Again, it's not saying it's going to go back to business as usual, because business as usual has changed dramatically. We now have much tougher rules when and where a confidential informant can be used at all. There are audits of the confidential informant to make sure that there is not abuse. There's no question that this is a little bit of an alarm or a little bit of a red flag that we should notice, but I don't think we are going back to business as usual, and the structures that are working with us, both internally and externally, are in agreement that this change, as modified, along with all of the rest of them, does make sense. So I ask for adoption or approval of item 13 with the 1A item on the issue of confidential informants.
Mr. Smith.
Thank you. I'd like to hear from the department. Is there a representative to speak for the department here, or the commission? Thank you. I think while you're seated, I think Mr. Parks makes a compelling argument that there are uniformed officers out there that do not need to be making these kind of discussions and transactions. In a 9 out of 10 cases, I think I agree with you, Mr. Parks, on that. My concern is one time for about a year I worked with a crash unit under the old system. and most crash officers knew who to talk to on the streets, knew who to get information from. I do not know of any cases where they were actually working with informants as paid informants, but I got to presume that was an option that was out there. And we were in the crash unit working in uniform at that time. So I'd like to hear from the department your rationalization why officers need this. I can't imagine why 9 out of 10 patrol officers or any other units would need it, but I'd like to really concentrate on the new GET unit and whether or not as a uniform officer they need that option or not. That would be the only time that I think an officer needs the ability to do that. All the rest of the units go in soft clothes and they don't have that responsibility, but the GET units continue to be in uniform for the most part. And so I'd like to know from the department's point of view what your arguments are that why you need this.
Well, good afternoon. My name is Scott Krober. I'm the Commanding Officer of Civil Rights Integrity Division, so my domain in the department has to do with the Civil Rights Consent Decree and its project management. I'm not an expert on informants. I do want to say that when we look at the historical issues associated with informants, clearly the department, by its own policy, Volume 1 of the manual, acknowledges the importance of informants in violent crime reduction and speaks to the fact that without them, oftentimes prosecution would not be possible. I want to clear up a misnomer. I don't believe that at this point in time the department is moving toward an effort to have all patrol officers have the authority to have informants. The way that I envision this, and I haven't spoken extensively with the chief of police, but I believe the basic construct is this, that just because you're a uniformed officer doesn't mean you don't have the tenure, the experience, and the skill level that is commensurate with the management of informants. In fact, I would not envision this being something that would be open to the majority of uniformed officers. That's a decision that has to be made at a later time. I think the major point that we're looking at this morning is who's going to have control of this issue. Does it remain a federal mandate that it will not happen under any circumstances and the city has really no say in this matter, or is it something that will be handled within the city channels, overseen by the police commission and by the city council, public safety committee, and so forth? I think that's the main issue. What I do envision is if this were to be changed where the department would have the option, that this whole program would be done in a very measured, very deliberate and thoughtful way, understanding and aggregating the lessons learned from Rampart and other unfortunate circumstances in the past with informants. And that if this were to happen, it would happen in an incremental, phased program. It would be piloted. What we do have, and I think as Ms. Zukowski pointed this out, in the last 3 years that we've been involved with the Civil Rights Consent Decree, clearly the department has made leaps and bounds in terms of its forensic auditing capability, something which led to problems in the past with not detecting informant-related problems. We have a much better training system. We have a far more viable Office of the Inspector General. So a lot of the safeguards that we didn't have in place at a prior time are starting to meld as they should be. And ultimately, I think this is going to be a reflection of the most important aspect of the consent decree, which is not the management of informants or any other category, but whether or not we have civilian control of the Los Angeles Police Department. And I think the Commission and the Inspector General play a pivotal role. The city working group, of which they're both members, have concurred with this, as has the Office of the Inspector General, or the Office of the Independent Monitor.
Well, Captain, I appreciate that comment. The problem is you didn't really say to me, we need to do this. I would be the last person in the world. In fact, I stood up many times in many forums around this city saying we should not even enter in the consent decree in the first place. Now we're stuck in it. I'm the last person that wants to put handcuffs on the department's ability to do their job. But we have an integrity issue in the eyes of the public. And the last thing I want to see is a police officer in his blue uniform and badge exchanging money with anybody on the streets anywhere unless we have a darn good reason. And I haven't heard that reason yet, other than you just want to have the ability to determine sometime in the future that you need that. That's not good enough for me. And I can tell you as an officer who wears that badge proudly, we're still not over the integrity issue that was developed from Rampart. And to have officers on the street trading money with civilians could create more problems than it's worth. And I haven't heard you say we need it for this specific reason. I wish I had heard you say we need it for this, we're doing that, we have to have that need. But you didn't tell me that, and that's a problem for me. And so I'm not convinced yet that we need this freedom at this point in time until you tell me otherwise. I think I'll vote with Mr. Parks on this. Thank you.
Mr. Parks.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just as a background, I think what's important to understand is what does a confidential informant require? And It is not, as I mentioned earlier, just a relationship. And maybe I ask Barb Garrett to come up. She's probably read consent decree and Board of Inquiry reports, and maybe you could just articulate in that area, the Board of Inquiry, why that recommendation was made and what were the shortcomings.
In the Board of Inquiry report, there was a review of approximately 1,200 arrest reports where approximately 254 confidential informants were used. And there wasn't a process, there wasn't any documentation on how officers handled those confidential informants, oversight, and so there was lots of misuse of those confidential informants. If you look at the subcommittee's recommendations, identified that there was no training provided to those officers on the use of confidential informants, and we didn't have proper oversight. At the end of that review, there was a fundamental policy decision made of what should be the limitations on confidential informants. At that time, it was limited to only non-uniformed officers, and that policy was then embedded within the consent decree to help make sure that we were monitoring and having controls. LAPD has requested more than once of the consent decree work group to reconsider the confidential informant issue. Our response has always been, you weren't in compliance with the provisions that we have today, and until we can illustrate compliance with what we have today, we're not willing to take the next step. LAPD has come into compliance with the oversight, the auditing provisions. We're in compliance with the package requirements and the supervisory sign-offs. They expressed to us a request to have the potential to use confidential informants specifically in the SEU venue. Within the consent decree work group, we had a number of discussions on what our concerns were. We talked to LAPD about having a pilot program, not a broad brush program, making sure that we had oversight, monitoring, audits in place to make sure that we were monitoring the use, and ultimately making a determination of whether the risks would outweigh the benefits. What exactly are the benefits if we go this way? So we felt like, based upon the discussions that we had and where we were with the consent decree and the protections in place, that it was an appropriate recommendation to give LAPD the flexibility to move forward in a thoughtful, measured manner.
One thing I'd like to just comment, Ms. Garrett made the comment that there was, I think also the captain, that there was lack of training. And I would just want to say the reason there was no training is there was a prohibition against the usage of confidential informants by patrol officers. And so that's the exact reason why there was no training. And so what we are back to is the issue that we can follow corruption in this city, both corruption issues in Miami, Florida, New York, Boston, whatever city we have that officers, in a couple of instances in LAPD, with the Hollywood Burglars 1, Hollywood Burglars 2, Rampart, all those things come about dealing with informants by people that do not understand what those relationships are. And what Mr. Smith said is very accurate, that in dealing with informants over time, there always is a need to monitor those relationships, and without that monitoring, we will have an informant who does not play by any rules, alleging misconduct by officers that we will not be able to prove or disprove. And to put an officer in that situation, and to go back to where we were with Officer Cohan, that thought it was okay to go to county jail 25 times, give his home phone number to criminals, and then not understand the position it placed him in, is exactly what we're giving young officers this situation. We should also know that on confidential informants, they cannot make a deal with a police officer. The only people that can make deals is the district attorney. And so with a uniform officer, they don't even have the wherewithal to carry out any relationship that might be offered. It's only the investigative officer that could even go forward to talk to the DA. And even when the department supports some relationship, they don't even ask for a reduction in penalty. They only say, this person has worked with us. So we're putting uniform officers back exactly where the informal system they created with Rampart that we found was totally unnecessary and totally corrupt. And we're now officially allowing that to go as it relates to saying you can have that relationship. And even with all of the forms and records that we have, remember that most of the violations by Rampart officers were violations of law and rules and regulations. So the regulations are always in place for those who wish to comply. The ones we're worried about is the 1% that go beyond it and choose not to follow the existing policies. And so even though we have a more rigid system to capture information, to monitor it, those are the honest officers. It's the 1% that we now have paid close to $100 million in Rampart to deal with are the ones that are not honest. And so I would again make the motion that we move 108A and rediscuss that with the group until we can get a better clarification, because even though gang officers and detective officers are working in a combined unit, again, what you will force that officer to do, because we've seen it, they will then want to take off their uniform so they can have those discussions, so they can say, I'm not in uniform at that time. And so those are the kinds of things that we should be trying to prevent as opposed to encouraging.
Ms. Mizikowski.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members and Mr. Smith, when you said you could see where that 1% or 10% of officers, particularly those in the GIT teams, the gang enforcement units, might have some benefit of this. That's exactly the teams that the police department says, let us loosen the constraints a little bit. Let us loosen the constraints a little bit, and we know that those teams that are now put in place are dealing with the crime that is the most violent crime, the crime that when we see it around here, we get very, very concerned and ask for the police department to do more, to be more focused, to put more deployment out there. They have also said they need this element to help them fight that crime in these areas. Not widespread, not across the board, and only with the training that would go along with that so that those officers on the street could use this most effectively. Again, members, we have talked a lot about the constraints of the consent decree. We accepted the constraints of the consent decree. We have grown, and we are now doing some things right. Ms. Garrett said that the Department of Justice would not even have considered this, and in fact, the police department might have considered this years ago. We said no, because we hadn't proved it yet. We have now proven that in this realm, in this issue, we are doing it right. Mr. Parks is right. All it's going to take is one bad person to do it wrong to create havoc again. But as a consequence, do we want to say we shall stay forever constrained at this time when we have put the right systems in place, we've put the right units in place, and we've put the right people in charge of those units to say, gingerly open this pilot program, let us start, but give the tools that the police department is asking for, that the independent monitor says makes sense, that the Department of Justice say, we agree, and now we're going to say, no, let's leave those constraints on. This is something where we, you know, it's like the student who's been disciplined and told you don't get privileges, your privileges are taken away until you earn them back. In this instance, there's other here that we're also not in disagreement on, but this is the one instance that we believe that we have earned the right back, and I think, again, leaving that constraint on our hands at a time when we most want to fight, specifically in these areas, these most significant crimes, I think it's worth asking for this to go forward as recommended and as our working group has spent many, many, many months, every 2 weeks, with the DOJ, with the monitor, internally with us. This is not brought to us lightly, so that's why I felt very comfortable with it in recommending it. And I guess, Ms. Garrett, I'd just like to add, if we take one item out, there's a number of items in this that are moving forward that give us a better way of working under the consent decree. If we drop one item, should we continue the whole thing? Because will we ever get another chance to amend the consent decree in reasonable near future?
The Department of Justice, as the city, has expressed a desire to go forward with one package to the court rather than doing it piecemeal. That does not mean that there isn't an opportunity to take something subsequently.
Right, but again, we've been working on it, the judge is waiting to see, and we were all ready to go with the city attorney, the mayor's office, the police department, the CLA, the monitor, and the Department of Justice saying this made sense. So I'm asking for the council to concur in it so we can go forward. Again, June 15th is our date, a new horizon to really start honing on the real specifics of what we're going to carry on in the future. But I've asked for an aye vote on this with 1A.
Mr. Ludlow.
Thank you, Mr. President. I see our Inspector General here. Could you come forward? Just want to one of the cornerstones of the Christopher Commission police reform was, Charter Amendment F, was the creation of an independent inspector general to give us some direction and advice. And colleagues, I don't know about you, but I surely appreciate all the diligence and work that Councilmember Misakowski has put into this issue, and Councilmember Parks, with his years of experience, have raised a good question here today, and I'd be anxious just to get your response, Mr. Barot.
Well, I guess just hearing the comments here, I mean, they are valid comments, but I guess I obviously concur with what Mr. Krober said as it relates to the controls that are available right now. In fact, our office is doing an audit as it relates to the handling of confidential informants. So I think that there are now sufficient controls to monitor the situation to see, in fact, if there are going to be any abuses or problems as it relates to that issue. Obviously, it is a sensitive one. Mr. Councilmember Parks is correct as it relates to previous scandals that you look in different cities. It does relate with confidential informants. I would submit, though, that in my humble opinion, that I don't believe that there were sufficient controls available to monitor those situations. And I think now, given the sensitivity and the extensive scrutiny as it relates to these informants, that is now in place, and that we can move forward and allow the department to try this with uniformed officers.
Just hearing your testimony is pretty compelling, and I appreciate you being here today. And I don't know, Mr. Parks, if there's a way to, and I heard the date that you mentioned, Council Member, that's coming up in front of us. There's so much work that's gone into this document, just looking at the list of items that the Public Safety Committee has engaged with the Police Commission, working with the Independent Monitor, working with the Justice Department. I'm just wondering, colleagues, if there is a chance that we can move forward with this without limiting our hand here. And I don't know if there's an opportunity for our two colleagues to offer something that might, because I don't know about the rest of you here today, but just getting this information today from you, Council Member, and I mean, you've raised an interesting point. It's hard to just go forward with something so technical and also something that is very detailed. So I wanted to just ask what
Mr. Weld, if I can just, a point of information. I think we were acting on this today to go to the court on May 7th. Is this not part of that action? Okay, this is not going to the judge in May. So you want us to send the whole thing back?
And I'm not, well...
Just recommend that we go with I think it's just that one item is the only one there's disagreement.
But Mr. Parks, the only question is, as Ms. Garrett said, this has been a whole package that we're going to take to the judge. And the judge and the monitor have said, let's not do it piecemeal.
Yeah. No,
so we should send the whole thing back if we're going to go back.
But one thing I just want to, just having a little experience about rules, having evaluated personnel complaints most of my life, in every instance, people are violating a stated rule, requirement, and a guideline. So all of those things of controls are nice for people who comply. But in every instance you discipline an officer and fire them, they're violating a rule, a law, or something that's in place. So I think we have to take that and heed that information as it relates to when we decide that these new controls are in place. It's the people that avoid and go around the controls that are always going to put us in the jeopardy. And the more you give them the exposure to an element in the criminal society, these are criminals that have backgrounds and are working off cases that will misuse an officer just like they do a resident.
Okay, colleagues, Mr. Ludlow still has the floor, and I do have Mr. Villaraigosa, Mr. Smith, and Mr. Parks waiting to speak again.
What's the period of time? Would this go forward for what period of time? I mean, this would be from here until the next scandal? Or, no, I shouldn't have said that. Would this be, is this a temporary, is a pilot, or this would be, we would change the rules of the game, and until we felt we needed to come back and review it, we would not come back to review it?
That has, I'm sorry, that has yet to be determined. And again, my main reason for being here this morning, speaking on behalf of the Chief of Police, wasn't so much to roll out a program and offer up that type of a time schedule and the action items, but...
No, and again, I'm sorry? That's kind of the crux of my question, colleagues, and I don't know, Mr. Parks and Mr. Smith, if there's a way that we could ask for this to come back after a period of time, maybe it's 6 months, and give this a shot. Because let me just say this, colleagues, I appreciate the information that's been brought in here today. This is obviously a very significant piece of just reestablishing the sense of confidence in the police department and dealing with many of the issues that were the foundation of much of the reform effort over the last decade. I have great confidence in our Chair of Public Safety and the fact that we have our independent Inspector General here, Mr. Barot, saying that he thinks this is a place to go. At some point, we gotta trust in some of the outside people that are looking over our department in much more detail than any one of us are here, other than perhaps Ms. Misikowski. And so while I really appreciate what Mr. Smith and Mr. Parks are saying, I think at a certain point we've got to give ourselves the chance to trust the outside monitors that we've put in place and that the voters put in place. And none of us want to see another incident similar to the ones that had come up over the past decade. So with that, I would just ask Mr. Parks and Ms. Misikowski if there's a way that we could look at this being perhaps 6 months. We bring it back for just a report and get a sense of how we're doing so that we can move forward with all the amazing amount of work that has been done to get us this far.
Mr. Verragosa.
Yes, Mr. President, members. First of all, I want to thank Councilmember Parks and Councilmember Smith for raising these issues. I can't discount the concerns raised by both individuals. And in matters like these, I'm not an expert, but obviously constraints on conduct of this nature that's confidential and not not out front and identifiable, or issues that we should all be concerned about. And the Inspector General has mentioned that there are controls, but you didn't describe those controls. And so while that was nice to know, maybe sharing with us what exactly those controls are so that we have a better understanding about the mechanisms for ensuring accountability and for ensuring that this situation isn't violated of people's rights and the like. Can you share with us what those controls are?
Councilmember, while I cannot go into specific details as it relates to the handling of informants, what I was referring to when I relate to the controls relates to our function in the audit capacity. If you look at historically speaking, while the department has had an inspection...
You speak louder.
I'm sorry. If you look at historically as it relates to the department's audit function, there was an inspection and control division. That division has now grown almost 3 times that amount. And the quality and the detail by which audit division conducts their audits is significantly greater than it was in the past. You add to that our abilities to review and conduct independent audits of the same functions of the department. I think that gives a certain confidence level and security that if in fact there are problems, they will be noted and presented to the police commission for their decision making.
Okay, so now you're saying that you have control. So what you're essentially saying is that you have the staff power now, 2 layers of staff power, both internally and in your office, to be able to conduct audits of this kind of activity. But, and you're also saying that with respect to the controls that you mentioned, you don't have, you can't indicate with specificity what they are. So you're saying that, I mean, for instance, is there a way for a supervisor, whenever there's a confidential informant, is there a way for a supervisor to confirm that the confidential informant said X or Y? Is there a second or third layer of protection here in those situations?
Well, the basis of the audit function is to confirm well, I shouldn't say confirm, is to ensure that the policies and procedures established by the department are in fact being followed. Let's say, for example, just for the sake of this discussion, if there is a policy or procedure that says when you meet with an informant, you must, A, document your first meeting with the informant, document his or her name, address, phone number, document the information that they're providing, and make attempts to verify the credibility of that information. When we do the audits, we would double check to make sure, in fact, those things were done. So that's what I mean by the level of detail that we would go into, but it's based primarily on the policies and procedures by which the confidential informants or the department is to abide by. And I apologize just because I don't have that in my memory as to the specific policies and procedures as it relates to informants.
Do any of you have that
Well,
information?
we have a.
I mean, what I'd like to see, I mean, I don't think, you know, the chief's got 37 years in the department. He said he grew up doing this, and I'm certainly not going to question that, all the years that he had an opportunity to review. We are sitting, as we speak, addressing the issue of a consent decree. These are the kinds of issues that have historically been problem areas for us in the past. You indicate that there are controls, but the controls that I hear you, Mr. Inspector General, speaking of, are controls after the fact. Are there controls while the activity is occurring? Are there secondary and tertiary levels of responsibility and oversight so that these problems don't these areas of concern don't become problems? That's the question that I have. I mean, I am not speaking categorically against the idea of using confidential informants, even though I'll tell you, you've heard me say on this floor before, I'm very, always concerned about our Bill of Rights, always concerned about our Constitution. We, always concerned about the idea that you can only enforce the law when you're obeying it, and that you can't break the law to enforce it. This is something that's not, I'd made up. This is something that in a nation of laws we understand. These two individuals, both of whom have served us in this department, are concerned about this issue. I am as well. To the extent that you could respond with some specificity, I don't need to know who the informants are, but I do need to know that while that activity is occurring, we have built-in protections, not after the fact, but while it's occurring, so that someone is confirming, yes, this confidential informant said why to this officer on such and such a date, or some other protections while it's happening, so that we're not in a consent decree, because all the audit would do, with all due respect, is tell us that, we had X number of violations, and that's nice, but that's after the fact. And having, had to go through, as we all have, a consent decree, we know we want to get things while they're occurring and prevent them, not after the fact. So is there something you can say to me to address the concerns that have been raised? Because all I've heard is there are controls, but those controls, as I've heard articulated, are controls after the fact.
Mr. Zaragoza, after the response, I'll ask you to press your button again.
Point of order, Mr. Veer, would it be worthwhile to continue this till Tuesday so we have the right people here who talk about what those controls are?
That would be.
Because although we've got people here who can talk about some of the one who specifically puts this in, puts the training,
That'd be very helpful.
Then if there's no objection, can we continue till Tuesday?
Is there any objection to continuing this item till Tuesday? For the right personnel for more answers, I do have Mr. Smith, Mr. Dudlow, and Mr. Parks on the queue. Okay. And there's no time limitation to prevent us from doing so? Okay, then without objection, this matter will carry over to this Tuesday, May 4th. Mr. Clerk, next item.
Item 14 was called special by Councilmember Smith.
Mr. Smith.
President, included in this package are 4 different elements. I have objection to 2 of them, and I'd ask that we can vote on the 4 things independently, A, B, C, and D.
Okay, bifurcate the item.
And then I'll speak on my objections to C and D.
Okay, so you're okay with A, B, C, and D?
I'm okay with A and B. I can't speak for the rest of council.
Okay.
But C and D I do have problems with, so we can either take C and D separately from A and B, or all four separately, whatever you choose.
Okay, let's take A and B first, since there seems to be no objection. Mr. Clerk, please open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
Okay, and on C and D, did you wish to speak, Mr. Smith, or just
Just
separate
yeah,
vote?
very briefly. What this is opposing two laws in Congress that would allow parents of disabled children to take their children out of public schools when the public school cannot provide adequate service to those disabled children, and take them into a private school and take the money that is paid for their education to that private school. I can tell you, my daughter is a school teacher in a very small school district, and she has told me repeatedly that she is unable to teach the children in her class that have disabilities, but because it's a small district, they don't have the ability to send the kids anywhere else. Here in the city of LA, and for those of us from the Valley, in the Valley there's a lawsuit against LA Unified, a very big district, who also doesn't have enough financial resources to adequately address the needs of disabled children. And all the parents are asking for is an opportunity to take their kids to a school that specializes in taking care of disabled children, and take their taxpayer money with them to do that, because the public schools are not able to really provide that service. And so I would not support our opposition to the two bills that will allow the parents to take their children to a school that can really specialize in disabled children.
Okay, we do have a committee recommendation before us on this item. Is there any
Point
further
of
discussion?
information. I think Mr. Smith said some good points there. Is there any time, and I know the CLA is here, is there any time matter on that? Because you spoke from experience as far as that. Could we continue those two items? Let's continue those two items to get clarification. I move we continue the items that Mr. Smith brought up to get clarification.
Is there any objection, colleagues? Mr. Ludlow? No? Okay. Then without objection, those two items are continued until Tuesday. Do your homework, folks. Next item.
Item 19 was called special for discussion.
Ms. Hahn, item 19.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, this is to have us formally support the Local Taxpayer and Public Safety Protection Act, which the California League of Cities is sponsoring, and this has been co-presented today by Councilman Padilla, and I think Councilman Parks is signing on in this, and I know many of us here have taken a leadership position on this already, and I know I don't have to convince you, but I just will, for those who are watching, say what is behind this initiative that we expect to be on the ballot in November. And that is the fact that no longer can local municipalities, not only Los Angeles, but cities all up and down the state of California, be required to provide basic services to the residents while our budgets are being rated by the state of California to balance their budget. As you know, everything from sales tax to property tax to the vehicle license fee is up for grabs by the state of California, when in fact those are dollars that belong to us here locally, and those are dollars that I think our constituents are assuming that is coming locally. When you tell people that only 26 cents out of every dollar of their taxes actually makes it to Los Angeles for us to provide police, fire, street services, they're shocked. They assume that when you pay property tax, it goes for things that improve the value of their property, like what we do locally and how we provide those services for them. Currently, there's a consideration, as you know, that the legislature is considering taking another $1.3 billion from cities to pay for the state's obligation to pay for K through 12 schools. We just feel like we can't sit by any longer and allow them to do that. So this initiative will do two things. One, it says that the state must first go to the voters to approve any legislation that reduces the sales, property, or vehicle license fee funds of cities, counties, and special districts. The other thing it says, which has been a long frustration of local government, is that when it's a state-mandated program, if it's an unfunded state-mandated program, then cities have the right to discontinue those programs unless we are reimbursed in a timely manner for the execution of those programs. I think both these points of this initiative will, as we go forward, help us have more control over our dollars and help us be accountable to the people that we serve and are required to provide certain basic services to them. It's a good measure. I think voters are going to agree with this. No longer can the state raid our coffers unless the voters tell them that's okay for them to do that. I hope you'll support me and have a unanimous vote on this resolution.
Mr. Padilla.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and Ms. Hahn, thank you so very much for being so passionate about this issue. Colleagues, as you know, sometimes I get to wear two hats around here, not only as a member of this City Council, but as our city's appointee to the board of the League of California Cities, where I've actually been elected to be an officer of the board, as second vice president. And I can just tell you that cities up and down the state are clamoring in support of this initiative. We've actually discussed this matter here before in the context of our ongoing budget discussions, state budget actions and their impact to our city coffers, and our legislative efforts to minimize budget cuts, our legal efforts to minimize budget cuts, and this is frankly a political effort to minimize budget cuts from here on into the future, as Ms. Hahn described, a constitutional amendment that would protect the city's share of the big three revenue streams that really are local dollars: our vehicle license fee, our property tax, and our sales tax. What I am proud to report, colleagues, is that the statewide initiative that the City of Los Angeles is a big part of submitted 2 weeks ago more than 1 million signatures to the Secretary of State, county by county across the state of California, more than 1 million signatures to help qualify this ballot measure for this November's election. So not only are we confident that this measure has qualified, but I think it's a big testament to the support that the ballot measure already has. We're doing our job in educating the public about our budget challenges, not just in terms of the dollar value of our deficit, but really the mechanism and the structural challenges that make it tough for our city to financially plan for the long term and to deliver on the public safety and other basic services that we're so committed to. One way to look at it, here's how I look at it, is we've turned the tables on the governor. As he's proposed a $1.3 billion property tax shift in his proposed budget for next year, what we did is we went to the people. He campaigned on being a governor for the people. During the recall process, he was on the people's side. During Proposition 57 and 58, he worked around the legislature by going directly to the people. He threatened the same on workers' comp reform and was able to strike a deal with the legislature. This time, cities and counties up and down the state went to the people first. And we have more than 1 million people. We have police and fire unions on our side. We have a wide array of support for this ballot measure. And now everybody's looking at the governor to see what he's going to do. If he really stands up for the commitment he's made to protect the people, to protect public safety, and to really help solve not only a budget deficit, but a broken state-local government fiscal relationship, then I think he needs to get on board with this initiative too. So it's a wonderful step we're taking today. I'm glad that the City of Los Angeles is formally adding its name to the list of the hundreds of cities up and down the state of California that are in support of this. But the work isn't over. We had a lot of work cut out for us between now and November. Thank you.
Mr. Villaraigosa.
Yes, I want to thank Council Members Hahn and Council President Padilla for speaking out and on this issue and bringing this matter to the council. Members, we're facing a $300 million structural deficit. We're doing the belt tightening and the cost savings that we need to do to make sure that we're keeping the public commitment to spend their tax money wisely. And every year we get taken to the cleaners, if you will, by the state. I want to remind you, however, the last time that it happened was in 1992, before either Mr. Cardenas or myself were members of the legislature. But the one thing we remember back then was the stories of local government who were told that, in fact, the state was robbing Peter to pay Paul, taking money from cities and counties to figure out their own budget crisis because they hadn't addressed the same kind of budget issues and budget savings that we've had to do over the last months. And then last year, all of us remember that here they went, the state legislature and the governor went at it again and went back to us and tried to make us pay for their failure to address the budget deficit and the crisis that they face. So this measure is important. It's important because it's the only way for cities and counties to play on a level playing field. It's the only way, through a constitutional amendment, to ensure that the people of the cities and the county have fire and police protection, that we don't continue to suffer at the hands of the legislature and the governor with respect to resolving their deficit. So I thank you, Ms. Hahn, for bringing this matter to our attention. I intend to work with you and the neighborhood councils and all of the residents of the city of Los Angeles to ensure that we tell this story and that we support this very important initiative.
Thank you, Mr. Garcetti.
Thank you very much, Madam President, and thank you, colleagues, for those words. I think it is critical as we look at November, and especially at this point in the negotiation, that our resolve be as clear as it can. This is local money that should stay local, and it would fundamentally change the way that we look at funding our government, to say that local people get to say when local money is going to be taken by the state. It was a small and strange bit of Proposition 13 that a court at some point decided that all local taxes can go through the state, where they can take whatever they need on the way back, basically, to local government. It was not the intention of Proposition 13, in my opinion, but it was nevertheless something that came out of the court cases. This would give the people a voice. I know the governor, I know our legislature believes in the people having a voice, and adopting this position today and our continued work to make sure that this passes in the fall will be the best thing we can do, especially right now as we're talking about the budget. So you have my full support.
Thank you. This ends the public hearing on this matter. There's no one else wishing to speak, so we now have the motion, the item before us. Open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
That is approved. We'll send it forthwith. Mr. Clerk, what remains on the desk?
Council has motions for posting and referral.
They are posted and referred.
There are excuses on the desk. Councilmember Cardenas requests to be excused to leave at noon on Friday, May 28th for city business, meets council policy.
Mr. Cardenas is excused.
Councilmember Zine requests to be excused to arrive at noon on Friday, May 14th for city business, to be excused on Tuesday, May 18th for personal business, and Friday, June 4th for city business, meets council policy.
Mr. Zine is excused on those dates.
Councilmember Padilla requests to be excused on July 27th, 28th, and 30th for city business, meets council policy.
That excuse is approved.
Councilmember Villaraigosa requests to be excused for personal business on May 5th, to leave at 11:30 on Friday, May 7th, and all day Friday, May 14th for city business. A motion is required.
Mr. Reyes moves. Mr. Parks seconds.
That clears the desk, Madam President.
All right. Members, are there announcements? Mr. Ludlow?
Thank you, Madam President. I just wanted to mention, colleagues, that today, this afternoon, Council President and I are going to join the great Ray Charles as we dedicate his home since 1962, which has been in the 10th Council District, both his home and his recording studio, a historical landmark in the city of Los Angeles. And so we're really excited about that. Ray has been a real legend in this country. He's been a great role model to many, many people, and just it's been a real honor to actually get to know him during this short period of time on the council. I'm looking forward to being out there. Our mayor will be out there today, as will a number of colleagues of Ray's from throughout the entertainment industry. And then secondly, I just wanted to thank all the members of the public who have been attending the budget briefings in the community in the 10th Council District. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday night, closing last night, we held budget briefings. And I just wanted to say, colleagues, that folks are very interested in this year's budget. People are really watching the line, and they're fighting for their services. And I just want to applaud everyone who came out and shared their surveys. I'll be giving you each copies of the surveys that came in over the last week, and we'll be summarizing them for each one of you as well as the mayor, and hoping that it'll help influence the way we spend our money and spend it wisely.
Other announcements, Mr. Garcetti.
Thank you, Madam President. We launched today the beginning of the LA River cleanup, and I'm sure there are events in many places. Mr. Reyes probably has some information on as well. In my district and just the north, in Tom Labange's district, the Greater Griffith Park Neighborhood Council will be meeting up at about 9 o'clock to start their cleanup at the LAPD stables, and they're going to be proceeding there along the riverbank as part of the Gran Limpieza, the big cleanup tomorrow. And also our continued Council District 13 neighborhood walks. Tomorrow's latest neighborhood walk will be in the Sunset Myra area at 10 a.m. If members of the community would like to go door to door with us, we welcome you to our district office. Before that, we'll be walking down around Sunset Myra.
Other announcements? Mr. Parks.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have two announcements. The Los Angeles Child Guidance Clinic will hold their 6th annual Family Fun Fest Saturday, May the 1st, 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. at 3787 Vermont. And also one of our longtime churches in the 8th District, Victory Baptist Church, has been there over 60 years under the direction of Reverend Jenkins, the pastor, will have their country fair Saturday, May 1st at 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. at 4802 South McKinley.
Mr. Reyes.
I just want to echo the words of Councilman Garcetti, and that invite everybody out to the river. And folks, when you come out there, you're going to be probably startled on two levels. One is the natural beauty you will find in certain places, and just how devastating other places are actually the condition that we've allowed for it to deteriorate. So the more of us that get out there to look at it, hopefully more visions we'll have to see how we can make it better in the future. So thank you.
Mr. Parks.
Answer 2:30.
Mr. Padilla.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Colleagues, I think an event that we're all aware of, but want to wish for a very successful event tomorrow. The Police Memorial Foundation is having their annual golf tournament at Rancho Park. It is somewhat open to the public. We do have celebrities out there and participated in the past, and it's great to see a lot of Angelenos sort of walking the grounds of the golf course, taking pictures, seeking autographs of both celebrities and police officers. So it's a wonderful event. It's all for a good cause. Let's pray for a healthy and safe day, and let's pray for some good weather too. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any adjourning tributes? Would everyone please rise for an adjourning resolution? Mr. Reyes.
Thank you, Madam President. I'd like to adjourn in the memory of Choona Correa, daughter-in-law of Ms. Bertha Saavedra. She passed away on April 28th. She passed away of cancer at the age of 28. She was always known as a sweet and lovable mother. She's survived by Ms. Correa, by her spouse, Dimitri Navares, daughters Brianna Correa, Leila, Mary Navares. We just send our thoughts and condolences to the family, to Bertha Saavedra, who's always been a very strong advocate for the community in the southern part of my district. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Reyes. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.